On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick will dice up the latest 2 episodes of The Bad Batch. What was really infiltrated? How about that extraction? Does any of this even make sense? Because these 2 idiots made me record this intro a week before the episode aired. Anyway, you know the drill. They'll talk about the important plot points and where things are headed next, so strap in for some bad batching. Of course, the show will end with the Question of the Week segment and the latest round of Star Wars fan honest features. Punch it, Chewie. Hey, now, welcome back to the Star Wars Time Show. It's Matt with a busted gut, and it's young Nick ready to get the hell out of here. How's it going, everyone? Good to see you. We've got the usuals in the chat, starting with our boy J.O.D., my father Django, Bat, and Nova. Welcome to the Fandos. We appreciate your loyalty and your allegiance to the SWTS. That's right, my friends. If you want to join in with the live streams and you've only been dabbling in the podcast-only version that you have to wait a full day to hear, don't forget, 5 p. East, Wednesdays, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. Hey there, Linda's in there as well. Linda submitted a shot last week, Nick. It was pretty nice little family dynamic of a stormtrooper with little mini stormtrooper baby kids. So you never know what you'll come across with the hashtag Star Wars Time Show.
It's true.
Woo! All right. Sorry. I'm trying to get back to normal life. I was just telling young Nick here, just yesterday we returned from a miniature hillbilly vacation, as we call it here in Ohio, where we headed up to an indoor water park called Kalahari. Spent a few days there, spent a lot of fucking money. Holy shit. I don't know how you people have more than one kid. We brought a friend for the first time. Charlie brought a friend, and it definitely adds to the expenditure, but it's always a good time. We typically do this time of year. Up here in the north, indoor water park action. Hanging out with all the neckbeards and overweight people that probably shouldn't be going to an indoor water park. But that's just kind of the scene we have here in Ohio at this time of year. So trying to get back to somewhat of a focused brain. I mean, got back yesterday. I knew I had some Bad Batch work to do today. But I'm just not with it, man. I kind of like being on vacation and not thinking about this shit or real life, work. You know, I mean, it's good to get those little breaks. But yeah, we're here. My stomach is fucking killing me, so hopefully I can get through the show. If anyone else suffers from diverticulitis or osis, you know what's going down in my intestines right now, and it's not fun. But I did try a little bit of Mother Nature's gummy before the show to hopefully alleviate a bit of that stabbing pain. Because if you never experience, I never know which one to say, Nick. It's diverticulitis, I think, is the condition. Or if you're experiencing the pain, it's called diverticulosis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, diverticulitis, for those of you who watch either wrestling, like professional wrestling, like WWE or MMA, that's what Brock Lesnar has. Brock Lesnar has diverticulitis.
Yeah.
Which is I don't. It's not a degenerative disease of the intestines, but in extreme cases, it can result in like surgeries to remove parts of your intestines and stuff like that. Yeah.
From what I've read, I know my dad has it, but essentially in the stomach lining, you have all these little hairy finger things, they're fingering your intestines. And, small seeds and shit can kind of get stuck in there and not flushed out. And I can almost guarantee when I'm going to get an attack, and it's usually after I've fasted and then I go work out on an empty stomach.
Oh yeah.
It kind of makes sense because, my intestines are getting all squeezy, trying to get everything they can, all the energy into my system. And sometimes those little fingers, Nick, I think they squeeze too hard and they find one of those nuts and it really starts to blow. But yeah, hey, look at this. Bat's been the one. Great Wolf. Yeah, we got a Great Wolf as well. Great Wolf Lodge. They're down south. They're a little cheaper than Kalahari. Not quite as expansive. It's like a resort. I mean, they got restaurants in there. There's a big arcade, laser tag, a spa. It's fun. It's shit, man. These places, they have to make bank. Just turning rooms over. I mean, rooms, if you go on the weekend, dude, rooms are upwards of $400 or $500 a night.
Damn.
To stay in northern Ohio, where it looks like a war zone. I mean, northern Ohio is a fucking shithole. Yet, people like me are willing to trek up there and spend thousands of dollars to drink too much and eat too much and feel too fucking cold in an indoor pool because we're getting old and soft. You probably never get cold where you're at, but like these days, dude, I used to never get cold. I'd go in the water, no big deal. I've become such a pussy with cold, especially cold water. It's like if the water's not 80 degrees plus, fuck off.
Yeah, it's like for us. I mean, I've never been to an indoor water park before, but like you said, that's it's mostly in like. The northern part of the United States, even like Midwest, like what you're in.
Well, you'd probably die even at an outdoor water park midsummer. All the shit would dry up before the day ended.
We actually used to go to one when my family would take vacations to like Florida beaches and stuff, and there was one called Waterville, USA. And we used to go to that one.
They are all hillbilly centric, though, aren't they? Waterville. Hey there, Camanitas. Welcome to Waterville, USA, where you can slide your day away.
But it was fun. It was like they had big slides and then they had like a pretty decent wave pool. But yeah, I mean, like water parks during the summer in the South are definitely a destination because it's like everybody like is just trying to stay cool. It's like in Louisiana in particular, it's like, may not get up to the hundreds that much, but it's like 98 degrees with 70% humidity. It's like you're living in in like a little, like a swamp area. It was crazy. So it was always nice to be able to go to like Blue Bayou, which was the one in Louisiana that was right near Baton Rouge. We would drive up to that sometimes. And then that Waterville one, but like an indoor water park like sounds great.
Log twirling and alligator jumping at the Bayou Park.
You would walk over the rope over the alligator pond.
Except down south, they're actually real. They're not those foam things that us pussies in the north use. Nick trained on real gator down there in the bayou with Uncle Papa. Go out there with a shotgun and shoot them good.
That's right. You got to be ready when you're in Louisiana, man. You never know.
You've said this before, but you do have family members that have done they've gone out and like essentially choked out a gator with a treble hook and then blew its brains out with a rifle, right? Or no?
I'm sure that I do have a relative somewhere like close within the family that has like hunted alligators or something like that. But
using hunting, doing it that way is that it's like really stretching that term there. I mean, is it really hunting if you leave a massive treble hook with chicken guts and shit on it and come back a day later and there's a poor fucking alligator that has swallowed a hook and all you have to do is shoot it in the fucking head? Like,
I will say this, that usually they don't allow you to do it with hooks because of that, but there are.
It's a season, right? Like it's
it's like an alligator hunting season, and it's just like it's like a ticketed and tagged event too.
Do they still have the series on? I forget. It was like Discovery. I don't know if it was Swamp People or something, but I watched a few years of it of these gator hunters in quotes, and you are. I mean, I know. Listen, in the end, it's a loose way of hunting. It's pretty cheap. it's not very fair for the gator, but yeah, it's kind of like doe season up here, just to thin the population a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Mostly it's to like thin the population, because in like the swamp area, like specifically in like the further like southeastern areas of Louisiana, the alligators can be more of like a local problem, just because of like the waterways that cut through residential areas and stuff like that. So yeah.
They were there first, Nick.
That's
animals were there first. Fuck
That's
the
right.
people. I really am. Like, come on, let's go. Zap us out of here. I want Animal Kingdom to return. All right. Anyways, let's get moving along here. My stomach is settling down. Thank you, gummies. All right. That just goes to show you the power of Mother Nature. Fuck all that symptom chasing shit you people buy at drugstores. I have not had a symptom suppressant since I was 20 years old. I can't, it's because I can't take any form of caffeine in any legitimate dose, or my heart will explode. But yeah, I always, I'd say to my wife, or even now she's got my kid hooked to it, like, Dad, I need my Dayquil. I'm like, no, you don't. That shit is doing nothing for you but suppressing symptoms. Just let your body get through it. Suck it up. Get the fuck out of here. Like, everyone thinks this shit's medicine. It's not medicine. What I'm taking, that is medicine. That's because the magic sky and the magic guy in the sky that some of you believe in, that's where that shit came from, not some lab. So thank you. That was fantastic. Five millis. That's all I needed, and I actually think I'll be able to stay focused and get through the show without replying to Nick going, oh, the helmets are cool. Like the last time
that was a fun time.
Yeah, last time I had a little bit of fun before we hit go. All right, anyways, before we get into the Star Wars of the Star Wars Time Show, I did check out a new flick last week that some of you older geeks may want to know if it's worth going with the little ones, and that is Kung Fu Panda 4. Hell, you may not even need to have little ones to want to go to a Kung Fu Panda movie. The franchise has been out for a while. It stars Jack Black and other famous voices, and quite frankly, as a parent of little one, I've had the excuse to watch them all, and it's a pretty damn good little movie franchise. I'm not gonna lie. I've dug Kung Fu Panda since the first. Never really got into the TV show, but of course got a little one, so we checked out Kung Fu Panda 4 last week. Awkwafina joining the cast and definitely leaving her mark, as she does in most films that she is in these days, because she's got that voice is just so goddamn recognizable now. You know what I mean? Like, Awkwafina just has a voice you could pick out of a lineup of thousands of people.
She does. And she also, she had a show on Comedy Central that just wrapped up recently called Nora from Queens, and it was hilarious. It was a really funny show.
Nick, is she a comedian turned actor, or just an actor that knows how to deliver lines in a funny way?
I think that she does stand up. Okay. So I'm not sure if the journey started with stand up and then transformed into TV film.
Yeah, I think it did. But yeah, I mean, she's obviously been popping up movies over the years, and just has that very distinct voice and plays a pretty interesting character in Kung Fu Panda 4. Obviously Jack Black is Jack Black. He's a national treasure. I'm sure most of you saw his viral promotion for this movie last week, where he did a lip sync at the red carpet premiere to Kiss Me Baby One More Time from Britney. It was pretty epic. I appreciate fellow short, fat, bearded old guys. And Jack Black is exactly what I would look like if I didn't kill myself with diet and exercise. Like 100%, I'm Jack Black. That's my body type. Like, no fucking around. I'd have that barrel gut, just be a big bowl of laughs. Instead, I'm this somewhat slim, crotchety, angry curmudgeon. So I probably should just let myself eat, because I'm a much nicer person. But
it was the guitar. That's the difference between you and Jack Black, is really just the guitar.
And I'm even trying to learn how to do that damn thing, but because of this dumb fucking Star Wars Time Show, I dedicate too many of my hobby hours to that instead of trying to perfect my calluses and get more dexterity in my left hand. Because I don't know how the fuck you guitar players can get your fingers to do what they need to do on a guitar. It just, I'll get there. It's gotten a little bit better, but dude, I can't even do Spock's symbol. What is it? What's he called?
Oh, the Vulcan,
Spocker? Yeah.
the Vulcan salute.
Look, like if you're on the live stream right now, look at my brain failing. It can't do it. It's like, my ring finger is non-responsive. It like brain signals do not hit the ring finger.
And then like no,
dude, I can't do any of that. And it's a big problem when you're trying to learn how to play the guitar, specifically chords.
I can't do it. I can do it on my right hand, but my left hand, it's easier for me to do.
Look at us right now. You'd think we're like at some slow adult like show, like the like talent show right now. Nick and I are like, Icky, look at me. Wee. Yeah, doesn't work. So I don't think I'm gonna catch up to Jack Black's guitar skills, which he is awesome at, by the way. I mean, he can play.
He's amazing.
He's a fucking talent. Like, I mean, he's awesome, and that's why he can continue to kind of live his best life and not worry about his dad bod these days, because he's always going to get work because he's a fucking pimp. We got Mando Pirate saying Aquafina started out as a rapper. Hey, who the fuck knows?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
We'll take it. We're the SWTS. We don't vet a damn thing. So if you say it's true, we'll put it out there as true.
Well, yeah, it's like, sources say, AKA Mando Pirate, says that she started out as a rapper. But yeah, like my first exposure to Aquafina was definitely through like for me, I think it was the Crazy Rich Asians movie.
Yeah. Wasn't she the lead opposite Homeboy in Shang-Chi?
Yeah, she was in Shang-Chi. She was opposite Simu Liu, and then
and she voiced one of the dragons in Raya.
Raya,
right?
yeah. Raya. She did that. I mean, she does a lot of voiceover work. And then obviously the TV show, the Nora from Queens TV show, and then her stand-up. So she's like multi-talented if she really is. If she started off as a rapper, then like, multi-talented. Check for
that
sure.
Shit out. Yeah, like that, like Nova throwing nerd gang signs. Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like. It did. It looked like two old school nerdy G's. Like,
that's
what up? Throw my. I don't even remember what it's called. I could just call it the Spocker, but that's I
think it is called the Vulcan, like the Vulcan salute or something like that.
What does
he
say though? Like,
live long and prosper.
There you go. Holy shit, man. See what Kalahari did to me? It's like,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure. They just give you a wristband, and that's it. You're like, oh yeah, charge it. Oh, you want another bucket of beer? Yeah, okay, that's $50 for 5 beers. All right, cool. Ooh, I'm coming. It's coming back. I can feel some of the gray matter reforming as the show progresses. All right. So, anyways, Kung Fu Panda 4, pretty fun. If you got family, definitely hit it up. If you're like me and you subscribe to one of the movie subscription services, why not give it a go? Speaking of giving things a go, I did check out Dune 2 again this past Saturday, and yeah, it's a damn great sci-fi movie. But I still believe the end is a little too sped up, a little shortchangey, and if you don't get a third movie, it's going to feel lackluster-ish. Okay, some Star Wars stuff for Jaws. Nick, I don't know if you saw anything on your socials the past couple days, but Jake Lloyd has been back in the news again. And if you don't know who Jake Lloyd is, shame on you. You're not a real Star Wars fan, but he played the original Anakin Skywalker before donning the black armor of Darth Vader in The Phantom Menace. In fact, he may be one of the best portrayers of young Anakin when you consider he was playing the 10-year-old version of the kid, and he came off as a 10-year-old pretty damn well. Mm-hmm. So really, Nick, the only thing that comes out of this story, I guess, is just the tragedy of this young man, Jake Lloyd, who played Anakin. Also to clear some things up. So, the internet, it gets a little goofy with rumors and whatnot. But I guess over the weekend, something came out that, Jake Lloyd is in such mental disarray, all because of Star Wars. And his mom kind of came out and wanted to set the record straight. And I also learned some pretty horrific shit about Mr. Lloyd. And so I just want to go over a few things with Nick, get some of his thoughts. But the big takeaway here, Nick, is that over time, as Jake struggled more and more post Star Wars, and it had nothing to do with acting in Star Wars. In fact, his mom said what I'm about to reveal would have happened anyways and would have affected his acting career moving forward. So it had nothing to do with Star Wars and any negative fallout from that. But, you know, he gets back from Star Wars, being a kid and all that, and his mom starts to notice some things, like he's saying weird shit to her and talking about different realities that he experiences, and should he do his homework or not, because in the reality he's currently in, he doesn't think he needs to do homework. Like, it is getting pretty far out. So she tried a different school, like more private arts, still wasn't happening. And eventually, after taking him in for some treatment, after he was talking about people on the street with black eyes looking at him and having conversations with Jon Stewart through the TV when John was on The Daily Show. You know, when he was at college, he came home and essentially his mom had to take him into a psychiatrist, and they eventually diagnosed him as a schizophrenic.
Yeah, I mean,
they no longer call it paranoid schizophrenia. It's just everything's schizophrenia now, but that's what he has.
Yeah.
So Jake Lloyd literally lost his mind due to having schizophrenia and has continued to suffer from it, so much so, Nick, that I believe here in 2023, he was in a car with his mom, and in the middle of traffic, he made her turn the car off, like in the middle of the highway, made her turn the car off, caused a huge traffic jam. Cops were coming up. His mom was like, yeah, he was talking to him, but it was just word salad. Like nothing was coherent or made sense. And after that, he's essentially been checked into a treatment center, a mental health rehab facility. And he's been there for 10 months out of an 18-month stay. And that's currently where Jake Lloyd is at. So he still is currently locked up. But she wanted to come up and say, like, listen, you know, we still go to movies. We just watch Wonka. He's not like in a straitjacket. And she reiterates, it's nothing about Star Wars. In fact, he's been watching new Star Wars. You know, the shit a lot of you people think is vomit. Disney Star Wars. Got into Ahsoka. His mom bought him the Ahsoka doll. But she really just wanted to get out there. Like, listen, Jake still loves Star Wars. He's still into it. Star Wars had nothing to do with him dropping off the face of this earth. In fact, she's like, listen, it would have happened anyway. I believe that it was genetic, and his psychiatrist also agrees that Jake was going to become schizophrenic. So that's it, man. Jake Lloyd, a diagnosed schizophrenic who is currently in a treatment facility for his problems. So
yeah, I mean, we definitely, you know, wish the best for him. I mean, he had kind of like, you know, news had kind of been scattered about him for a few years. I mean, I remember seeing something a while ago about him, you know, being in the mid-teens.
Yeah. Nick, I didn't bring it up, but you're right. He went on a driving trip by himself from Canada to Florida and got in like a multi-car police chase.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's tough. I mean, obviously, for somebody his age, he was only in the first film. Obviously, there wasn't going to be a ton of vitriol thrown at him because he was a child. But, you know, I do think that a lot of people probably look at the headline and be like, well, I mean, add him to the list of, you know, of Ahmad Best and Hayden Christensen for people who had their careers and lives ruined by Star Wars. But ultimately, like you just kind of laid out, this was probably a genetic thing that was going to happen to him regardless of, you know, whether he was in the movie or not. And I'll, you know, we're wishing for the best for him. Hopefully he can come out of the treatment center and has a level of control over his diagnosis that he didn't have before, and he can live a very, you know, prosperous and successful life moving forward. But yeah, I mean, it is sad, obviously, to see somebody who's, you know, struggling with something like that, especially in an instance where, you know, it's almost out of their control. There's really nothing that they can do about it.
He had no fucking shot in life, which is crazy to think. Like, here's this kid out of 3,000 actors that applied to be young Anakin. he wins the lottery, not knowing a few years down the road it's all gone. Like any aspirations, dreams, anything he built up in his head from this role would be ripped from him with nothing he could do to stop it.
Yeah. And I mean, unfortunately for him, unlike Ahmad and unlike Hayden, there probably isn't, like, even if he was to come back to, full health and he had a handle over his condition, there's probably not an angle for him to make a return to Star Wars unless it was in a completely different role.
Right. He'd have to be a new character, background, something like that.
Yeah. So, and that may not even be his goal in life, like he did this when he was 10 years old. It's 25 years later. He just turned 35. And, I would imagine that his goals in life have shifted from when he was a child. But,
yeah. Dude, I think he's just day by day. Like, can I just get through this day without the voices being too bad? And it's like, Jesus. Yeah. So, I mean, I listen, I don't have voices, but my dad's side of my family is loaded with diagnosed mental health messes. In fact, my dad's dad is the first Haywood male to not take himself out in their 40s. And that's only 2 generations away from me. So, you guys experience a little bit on the show. It's got a bit of a governor, but I get it, man. It's tough when the head up here is not doing what it's supposed to do. And the other reason this is all coming up, I mean, we're celebrating, like Nick said, the 25th anniversary of Phantom Menace. They're re-releasing it. They've been going around to the cast and asking them about it, and you see nothing from Jake. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, he was like one of the other mains, so is he going to get involved? And it's not going to happen. It's not looking like it. I mean, he still has 8 months to go, and the movie's coming out in May here. But I think that's why some of the rumblings have been going around about Jake Lloyd and, oh, he hates Star Wars. That's why they're not going to him or using him. And it's way more real than that. The dude, sadly, is not in control of his mind. And when you're a schizophrenic, you just, I'm sure they can load him up with drugs and whatnot to try to keep him tame, but this dude probably 24/7 is fighting his mind and trying to figure out what's real and what's not. And that can't be fun. Yeah,
it's definitely a tough situation to be in. So, if they do press tours, or if they do kind of do spotlights on all of the cast, hopefully at some point Jake will be able to speak to the press, at least in a limited capacity, about his time on Star Wars and what it meant to him, because clearly even to this day he's a big fan of Star Wars, and that kind of helps him get through. He's an inbox collector too, Nick, as you can see from this picture. He's like, I'm not taking Ahsoka out, I'm keeping that shit in the box. Yeah, to be a little bit funny here, what if he did come out, he's on the red carpet and everything's great, they're smiling, taking pictures, then out of nowhere, you just see him like arguing with a statue or something. Like, oh, it's just, I mean, that's Jake. He's all right. He'll come back in a little bit. He's in tune with the Force. Right. He's talking to Obi-Wan. Yeah, he's like, Jar Jar, you idiot. That doesn't go there. And you're like, Jake, no. We're going to go see the movie here. All right. So, yeah, that kind of sucks. But you can still see him in there, man, with this picture. Looks very much like his mother, but you can still see little Annie. Annie's in there, and he's got a beard now, and sadly, multiple personalities. All right, next low-hanging fruit here. Before we get into Bad Batch, the 2-parter, boy, was that fun one. We should call it the Clone Batch, or maybe the Batch Wars. You never know. It was a nice little marrying of 2 iconic Star Wars animated franchises into one to produce a whole new type of experience. But before we get there, we do have some, I don't want to say light, because this is pretty much what Nick and I have been telling you all along about The Mandalorian now. It does seem like the movie is what Disney is committed to, or at least what they're letting the people that need to make the movie know that they're doing. And we had Brendan Wayne show up on the Tatooine show. Fuck that show. But anyways, he was on Tatooine on YouTube. If you don't know who Brendan Wayne is, he is Din Djarin. I mean, he's pretty much been the character for the past 2 seasons.
outside of when the helmet needs to come off. Then they dress up Pedro for a quick 2 seconds. But he was on the show, and they're kind of asking him about, hey, what's going on with we get into season 4? What's development looking like on that season? He just says, no, in regards to, no season 4. I know that we're doing a movie for sure. That's what I know. So I don't know, man. I mean, it probably is just lining up to be the movie at this point in time. With how slow everything's going, the movie's supposed to start shooting this summer or whatnot. So, yeah, we could probably get it by, what do we say now? May of 26?
26, yeah, 26.
Which would give them time to get Ahsoka Season 2 prepped and ready for after the Mando movie, which would then give them time for the next Mando movie. When it comes down to it, I do not see a full season 4 taking place. I just don't, which sucks. You're going to lose out on a lot of a lot of lore that's just going to get cut for the big screen. But that's where we're at. And you never know. Like we said, that one report, if the Mandalorian Grogu makes money at the theaters, there is that tease that the powers that be could be like, oh, hey, money? All right, let's do a third Mando movie. So you get Mando and Grogu, an unnamed project, and then Dave's Mandalorian movie crossover. But season 4, sadly, is looking like it's just going to be swallowed whole by Mandalorian Grogu, huh?
Yeah, I think so. Unfortunately, it looks like that's going to be the situation, and it's not surprising given Bob Iger's recent, thoughts on the TV verse, and like not just the Disney or the Star Wars TV verse, but the whole Marvel TV verse. I got to run 1 sec. There's somebody delivering a package I have to sign for. But Matt, can you vamp?
Yeah,
for
no problem. What he's saying is Bob is cheap, and he wants to keep paying himself $40 to $50 million bonuses. And the only way to continue doing that is to not invest in your creative teams. So it's hard to give yourself multi-million dollar bonuses each year when you also have to pay the creatives that are generating the revenue that kind of grants you that ridiculous bonus. So I do think Bob coming back, tightening the belt around the budget is a direct reason for Mandalorian Season 4 probably just becoming a movie. It's like, hey, we can do the movie for maybe 100 mil, a little over 100 mil, and we're going to see that revenue come back because we'll have ticket sales, where we've always discussed with these streamers, how do they actually determine if a show was profitable? Is it new subs? Is it subs that stayed? Is it watch minutes? So in the end, Nick, I was just saying they're going to these movie models because it's much easier to see the profit lines at a theater versus streamers, where I still don't think anyone has figured out, that show made money or that show didn't. That show is continuous revenue. This one's not. Where movies, it's clear. You're either going to make the money or you're not, because you put up seed money to make it, and then you watch the ticket sales come in, you do some math, and you figure out, yes, we made profit, or no, we did not. Streamers, no one knows that secret formula yet.
Yeah. I think that what it comes down to is they've probably got a formula that they're using internally to figure out, like, hey, what is the profitability of this show? And my guess is it is resub count. So, like when a new show comes out, how many resubs happen? And then after the show ends, how many people unsub? And what they're probably seeing is like, hey, regardless of what show comes out versus, Star Wars or Marvel or whatever, our sub numbers don't drop enough after these shows come out to justify us saying that the show made money. So, like, for example, if Mandalorian Season 4 comes out and your sub, you get an increase of whatever, 20,000 subs come in or something like that, which for Disney Plus is minuscule, nothing. Like 20,000 subs coming in is not a lot of new subs for a show.
No, Johnny just named the next 2 movies: Grogu Strikes Back and Revenge of the Mando.
Hey man, it's a tried and true formula, right?
Just go with it. Why not?
But yeah, I mean, they're probably looking at like how many new subs come in when the show comes out versus how many unsub when it's finished, and they look at that number and they're like, look, it's minuscule, or it's not, it doesn't justify the cost of the TV show. Like, we're not getting enough of a bump when it comes out to say like, hey, it was worth the $100 million that we spent to make it. So they're switching back to theaters, which, like you said, Matt, you laid it out perfectly. Very easy to see profitability on a movie. On a movie, you have your budget that you put into it for production and marketing, and then you see what the box office spits out to you, and then boom, there you go. Did you make money or not? Very easy to figure out.
So, Nick, we've heard, and I think it's been reported, a season of Mando, 8 episodes, so 6 hours of content essentially, right? For 8 episodes, typically, 100 million. Mm-hmm. So if they can make 6 hours of content for 100 mil, how can they not make a movie for potentially even cheaper? I know they won't because it's a movie, but do you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, the show looks like a movie already, so just do what you're doing and don't make it as long.
Well, I think that all comes down to like film versus TV pay scales. Like,
okay, so all right, yeah. And then probably, naturally the marketing machine's going to be much more costly for film because you're buying posters, billboards, shit like that.
I mean, you're paying for. I mean, the good thing that Star Wars and Disney in general has always had on their side is they own their marketing channels. So, like, if you put out a commercial on ABC, yeah, you may have to pay for it, quote unquote, but it is essentially just a business write-off because Disney owns ABC, Disney owns ESPN.
Yeah, you're getting that ad time for free in quotes.
Yeah, you're getting it for free. So like, they don't have as much marketing overhead as other companies would, but yeah, you're gonna go for a wider marketing play for a film, which is going to cost you more money. I mean, if you look at the marketing efforts that they put out for these shows, it's almost nothing. Like you're putting out YouTube trailers, and you may. I mean, dude,
Bad Batch got a trailer a month before it came out, and then maybe one additional short re-edited trailer. That's it.
Yeah. And like even for their flagships, like live action flagships like Mandalorian.
Same thing. These days it's
like that.
One main trailer and then TV spots.
Yeah, like you'll get a few TV spots, but yeah, I mean, marketing is going to be a higher cost for movies. Your pay scales for your regular workers are going to be higher when you're on a film. And then then the question comes up like, okay, if we're going to do a movie, all of the TV episodes that have been filmed so far have been done by multiple directors. So are you just going to say like, hey, we're going to work with Rick Famuyiwa. He's going to be the director for the movie because he's the one who's probably filmed the most individual episodes of The Mandalorian and has also been like a contributor to the writing room. Like, do you just say like, hey, we're going to go with Rick? Or are you going to say like, if we're going to do a Mandalorian and Grogu movie, like we're going to go out and get a director who we want to make a big splash? Do you go with Favreau? Because Favreau created it and is obviously a very successful director from the Marvel side of things and the Disney side of things. You have to think about your crew and how much you pay those people on there. And then obviously your actor scale pay goes up too. So, I mean, I'm not sure if all of that is warrants the higher price for a movie, movie production, or if there's, I'm sure that there are a ton of other things that I'm not listing, but yeah, I mean, that's probably contributing factors for sure.
Nova coming in. Since it'll be a movie, do you think Pedro will get a ton more FaceTime on screen?
If I was Pedro, I would be like, you better put my fucking face on screen.
Or if I was Pedro, or he's just like, yeah, I'll cash the voice check, and Brendan can keep doing it. I'll just show up at the end to take my helmet off for 2 seconds.
Yeah, I think that like that is probably also a factor in it. Is that if you're playing a character and then all you're doing is voice work for it, your pay scale is going to be lower.
Less. That's why he, for the first one, he negotiated like, listen, you need to see my face because I want to get paid for real.
Yeah, and I'm sure on a film that's even more of a jump between you don't see my face and you do see my face.
There's some people in here like Bat saying no shot. I could see that too. I mean, it's also a business decision from Disney's end. We can pay a body double money, or pay one of the most famous actors right now top scale. So
yeah, I mean,
Pedro, we just need your voice. I guess. Do you think he has any leverage with the voice, or would they just be like, "Nah, we can recreate it"? There's AI and shit like that these days.
Yeah, I mean, because now that it's shifting over to a film, you have to imagine that all of these contracts that are in place for the TV series are not in play anymore. Right. You know, like all of that's going to change.
Yeah, you would think he'd want in on a movie, but if he's playing a character that does not like showing his face, period, even after he's done it once. I mean, it's clear Din still believes in the way. So yeah, fuck it. I don't think we're gonna ever see Pedro in the armor again. Yep.
No, yeah, I don't think that we'll see him. I mean, if anything, what may happen
maybe if he dies, that's it. When he dies, Grogu will levitate it off his head and caress him one last time.
I mean, because ultimately, if he dies and they do it like a Luke and Anakin type of moment from the end of...
Oh, yeah, you're right. You don't even have to take the helmet off. Just burn him in his arm.
Well, no, what I was going to say is like the moment that he actually died, like where Vader asks him to take my helmet off.
No, yeah, let's recreate it in full, too, where he's laying there. He's like,
just do the whole thing.
Yeah, and Grogu's like...
And then that's the moment where Grogu actually starts to speak sentences.
Yeah,
that's the
he's
first time that he speaks.
Din Grogu, I want to look upon you with my own eyes. And Din Grogu levitates it up, and you see Pedro's face. He's all like, "Rah!" Like blood's coming out of his nose.
Yeah, yeah.
He's like, "You were right, Din Grogu. Tell your Mando mommy you were right about me."
That could be it. Boom. That's the end of the movie. It's written right there. It's done. But yeah, I mean, from Star Wars' perspective, they're like, look, dude, we like you've had like this character's had his helmet on every fucking time since end of season 1. Like, whatever.
He really has only taken it off when it made sense for the story. I mean, literally, he was going to die in season 1 if he didn't take it off, and in season 2, he was giving up his ward and got a little too emotional. Yeah,
so like so they're like, we know that this character works without your face.
You are right, man. I'm trying to think. There's like no narrative reason to ever see Din's face again, unless he's fucking Bo-Katan, or like Nick said, we get the recreation of you were right.
Yeah,
you were right about me, Din Grogu. You were right.
So. I don't know. And then from Pedro's perspective, do you just be like, look, I'll take my voice check and be happy with it and move on?
He's like you're still all going to think it's me. I'm still going to be prime billing. Everyone's still going to love me on the red carpet. I just don't have to show up on set every day and get dressed up in a Beskar armor suit that probably sucks to wear for 12 hours straight.
Yeah. And for somebody like Brendan, that this is probably going to be more money for him, because I mean, like Brendan and Lateef, because they both technically play.
Well, Brendan is like the full. I mean, unless Din needs to do something physical, like action oriented, the fighting, it's Brendan. I mean, Lateef was only in for like the sword stuff, the spear stuff, and then any of his melee, like really fast moving, getting on the ground, tripping people shit. That's Lateef, but you're right. You got to wonder, like, what these people should be paid as a fucking actor. But I'm sure Hollywood has some language figured out, even in the new contract, where they're still just body doubles.
Yeah, I mean, you got to reach out to Stunt Buddy and see what those scales look like for TV versus movie.
Yeah, that's interesting, because you would think Brendan at this point in time is starting to go like, hey guys, like,
I'm the fucking Mandalorian.
Like it's me. I'm doing more than just pulling out a gun and going pew pew pew. I'm doing all the acting. And when you think about it, when you act Din, it is all physical, because the fucker, you can't see his face. It's just like Vader. I mean, your body is your voice. So, I mean, Brendan, he kind of is the guy, so he should be getting top billing, and he won't. And that just goes to show you the power of fame in Hollywood.
Yeah. And that being
Johnny
said,
wants to know if Grogu loses a hand.
he might.
Yeah, why not?
He might. Just do it. Just make him and fucking Din Djarin the fucking the new Luke Skywalker invader for this movie.
Yeah,
he's
gonna look at Din's his gauntlet and see that it's all mechanical, and he'll look at his little stump and be like, "No,
yeah,
you failed, Your Highness. I'm a Jedi like my father before me."
Man. Yeah.
Shit.
I mean, look.
What if Grogu just becomes an overweight macaroon-eating tub of shit?
He could.
Like when we check back in with him, he's still sitting at his pond on their homestead, and he's just eating the entire time. So now he looks like Jabba the Hutt.
But yeah, I mean, I think that if this movie goes well, they will pursue another one. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, why not, man? I mean, that's how Hollywood go. Why do you think we only watch franchises these days? It's 'cause
I mean, it's fucking annoying because there's a lot of good original stories out there. But yeah, I mean, people want to see the continuations of the characters that they know and love. So why not do it? If they want to give it to them.
We have like Godzilla Kong 3 or 4 coming out. Yeah,
Godzilla X Kong, and then now there's other Kongs that I saw.
Baby Kong. I'll fucking go, but it's like, come on. I mean, this all started with Brian, like the Godzilla Bryan Cranston was in, right? We did Godzilla.
I think so.
No, yeah. I think it was Skull Island.
Skull Island. That was the originator.
Godzilla. Then Godzilla King of Monsters. Then, like you said, Kong vs. Zilla. Now, it seems they're going to begrudgingly team up to fight a rogue Kong.
Yeah.
All right.
So, I don't know, dude. It's weird shit. But, yeah, I mean, I will be interested to see how the production of this movie comes together and specifically how it ends. I know that that's a weird thing to say about a movie that hasn't even started production yet. Like, I want to see how it ends. But, like, literally, the way that movie ends is an indication on whether they are planning to make more of those or not. Like, if that movie ends and Din's dead and then it's just Grogu left alive, then
we know that's not going to happen because they at least have another movie planned where I think you would want the face of the Mando verse to still be alive.
Yeah.
So it's really going to be ticket sales. I mean, if it wins the box office, Nick, and it has like a Star Wars 80 to 100 million opening weekend, Bob Iger is going to be popping Cristal and getting fucking crazy with Kathy. They're going to be like, woohoo! We did it again. We figured out how to get Star Wars profitable. I'm not sure how we forgot, but yay, let's keep doing it.
Yeah, I mean, what they've done in the long term, even though they are starting to move away from the TV verse, is they have literally from 2019 to now built a streaming platform that has billions of dollars in annual revenue, purely based off of Marvel and Star Wars TV shows.
But it's still not making money, right? Like, isn't Netflix the only profitable streamer?
Like, according to their numbers, I guess it's not making money. I don't know how it cannot make money, but
when you were gone, I said, I mean, the reason Bob is cutting the purse is because how can you pay yourself $50 million bonuses every year if you're giving that money to creatives that make the work that can get you those bonuses? Does that make sense? Yeah. Like, you might as well just keep it in the coffers. So when the year-end bonus payout comes, like, yeah, hey, look, 50 million earmarked for Bobby Boy. Fuck you, Johnny and Dave. You don't need this 50 million. I do, because I am Bob Iger, God of Disney and all Star Wars content. Yeah, remember, he's the one that rejected the Lucas scripts for the sequel trilogy. Look it up.
I mean, we can look back on that like those would have been good, but we saw 3 scripts from him that were terrible. So
yeah, but Nick, now it's just to make Bob look bad. So we have to be on George's side with this one. Like, they were amazing. Luke Skywalker was going to fucking fly and shoot laser bolts out of his eyes and win everything.
Yeah. And
Luke Skywalker was actually going to be Starkiller Base himself. He's just going to float through space like, what's his name? Dr. Manhattan from The Watchmen and just disappear people.
Yeah. So who knows? We'll swing back around to the is Disney Star Wars a thing? Like, what's your thoughts on that later in the show? Because that was one of our submitted questions.
Yeah,
spoiler alert.
Nice segue. But you're right. We're done with this. So we're moving into Bad Batch time. Looks like someone was searching Entertainment Earth for collectibles. It's based on my ads. Whew.
I got a shitload of Peacock ads, and I don't know why, because I don't search anything about Peacock.
It's all these IoT devices with mics listening. I know that. Yep. That's what it is. All right, anyways, it is Bad Batch time. SWTS breakdown. This is how we do it. We'll give our quick reviews of the episodes, plural. And then we'll go through some of the top moments, Easter eggs, references, ha moments, things you may have missed, things you need to know. And then obviously we'll tell you where things are going next. And to kind of touch on that from last week, we did all right. Okay, we did all right with infiltration and extraction. We had the characters correct. We just had the scenario slightly backwards, right? Last week we said infiltration, extraction. Sounds like a Rex episode. Ding, 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 ding. Sounds like they may be going after Wolf. Ding, 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 ding. Sounds like they may get Wolf. Boo. And yeah, so we did all right. Where we fucked up was it was reversed. Wolf was actually coming after them and not them going after Wolf. But I loved kind of their talk. We'll get into that a bit later. But we did all right. Your boys from SWTS, Nick in particular, nailing the speculation. Or maybe I nailed that one. You never know. We're both awesome. Please begin the fellatio. Thank you. All right. I just noticed I got some killer pit stains today. If you're on the live stream, that's what you come here for. Check that shit out. I am a healthy man. I probably gained 10 pounds in 2 days up at that fucking water park, just eating, resort food and drinking some good old IPA. All right, my man. We had a two-parter this week, and good thing we did because it was built to be watched back-to-back. And Bad Batch is known to do this, just like the Clone Wars used to, where we get these little mini arcs throughout a season. So throughout infiltration and extraction, we had some cool shit go down. Like I said, it felt like an episode of the Batch Wars or the Clone Batch, whatever you want to call it. But I digress. My full review is out there, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. Let's start with Nick then. What'd you think of these two, my friend?
I think these were super strong episodes for sure. I appreciated the play on infiltration and extraction that they did, because at first when I was watching, I was like, man, does infiltration and extraction really fit for these two episodes? I mean, specifically the extraction one.
So real quick while you're there, the infiltration was the Shadow Trooper.
Yes.
And then the extraction was getting all their asses off of Teth, right?
Yeah, it's like that's what I was saying. I was like, the extraction side of it, a little less actual extraction, a little bit more. We have to get out of this fucking building.
I guess Echo technically did extract them at the end.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, overall impressions of the episode, I was a really big fan. I thought that it was a great episode, it was a great duo of episodes that furthered the plot lines along in terms of both the Tantus side of things and the Batch side of things. Obviously, with the inclusion of Wolf at the end, their kind of come together moment there, I thought was amazing. And then obviously that was and I'll call it like an immediate callback to the episode where Crosshair first comes back in to the fold after him and Omega had escaped Tantus. So good immediate callbacks there. But yeah, I mean, action was good. The the interpersonal dynamics between not only the members of the Batch group, but obviously the clone security force that was working for Senator Singh. Having
Rex and the Rogue Clones. They're like a fucking band name.
I was gonna say, dude, it was great to have Rex and the boys teaming up with the Batch, and obviously there was still some animosity there, specifically towards Crosshair. So seeing those dynamics play out, then obviously having clones hunting clones, the clones that were sent from the Empire to hunt down the Batch and Rex and the boys. I feel like they really hit all of the notes with this 2-episode drop, and I was very pleased with it for sure.
Yeah, man, I'm in line with you. Like I said, I think for the first time ever, the Bad Batch has really felt a lot like the Clone Wars. And I think that's, obviously the episode starts with Rex, and we all identify Rex with TCW. He's one of the main characters coming out of that. He was one of the main characters they seeded way back in 2008 in the film, which, obviously this movie pays homage to, with his base being the same Boamar Monk temple that Asajj used in the movie to keep what the hell was Jabba the Hutt's son's name? But anyways, remember the plot of that movie, or part of the plot, was the Separatists were trying to make it look like the Jedi kidnapped Jabba the Hutt's kid.
Yeah.
And all that was taking place.
I know Ahsoka called him Stinky, but I can't remember
that's good
his
enough.
real name. I think it was like it was somewhat Otto or something like that.
It's like, I keep wanting to say Zero, but Zero's the idiot that abducted him for the Separatists. So I who cares? Either way,
Rada.
There you go, Rada the Hutt.
I was gonna say Rada, but yeah,
but it had that callback, obviously, to the dawn of the Clone Wars, the film. A lot of action took place on Teth. The only thing these episodes were missing to make them fully feel like the Clone Wars were Sky Guy, Snips, and Master Kenobi. It really was an episode where it felt like the Bad Batch was visiting the Clone Wars versus Clone Wars guys showing up in the Bad Batch series. Very much like at the end of the last season of the Clone Wars, when we were first introduced to the Bad Batch. It kind of got back to that, where the Bad Batch, they're there, but this was a Clone Wars arc. And like Nick says, because Rex was one of the main focuses. He was there with his rogue clones. We had Hauser, Greer, Samson, Fireball, Nemec, Gregor, all the people they've been saving over the past 2.5 seasons during the Bad Batch. So I definitely love that pointed focus to the regular clones, these rogues, and kind of seeing what they've been up to since the Empire has taken over. I felt like the action was exemplary. I liked how there was also components of stealth in there with the Shadow Trooper, or as the credits call them, Clone X Troopers. Mm-hmm. You had to appreciate the further bond building between Omega and Crosshair. I mean, the little kid is now chewing on toothpicks, for Christ's sakes. You gotta love it. The wolf encounter, which I'm going to go into in much more detail during the top moments, but I thought that was fucking excellent.
Yeah.
It played out way different than I thought, but it was also surprising in how it played out, the tone of it, and kind of where things may go from here for both characters. I think if I had a complaint, it might be old guy here, but I'm on a nice bright OLED TV, and some of these scenes were getting Game of Thrones-esque. Mm-hmm. Like the final seasons of Game of Thrones, where you couldn't see jack shit. I do think the tone, at least the color tone, the brightness, was a bit off in this episode. But unlike last week, Nick, I feel like we, as you said, we moved the clone story arc forward, both for the Bad Batch and Rex and the Rogue Clones. So we checked those boxes. But we also, unlike last week, did get to scratch off some Imperial lore check-in, specifically with these Shadow Troopers. We learned a lot more about them. We learned that they are a dedicated faction, and that not every clone can become one, at least not defective clones. We learned that Hemlock is in charge of their cell, and we learned that they do such intense brainwashing that most clones don't even survive the process.
Yeah.
And clearly we'll have some theories on who the second Shadow Trooper was, or Clone X, because at least to me, it feels like they're going out of their way to kind of put a spotlight on this one versus the one that opened this 2-episode arc. So I definitely dug the run. They had to play back to back, or it would have been a bit lackluster. I would not have liked to have to sit on that cliffhanger of Wolf being in the hangar of his ship right before they landed on Teth. But good shit. Like I said, as long as we're moving plots along, I'm always going to be a fan, especially if we check all of the narratives. In this case, we did. We got some Imperial stuff via Wolf, the Shadow Troopers. Then we also obviously got our Clone War stuff through the Batchers and the Rogues. The Rogues, their mission clearly, Nick, is Tantus. where now Rex has given Hunter a mission. Like, listen, Space Dad, this plan of yours just to keep her safe is never going to work unless you figure out why they want her, why they need her so bad, why Crosshair isn't even on the bounty list. Okay? I mean, they put 2 and 2 together very quickly, Nick, when they researched that fallen Shadow Trooper's puck. Like, okay, Omega is way up here. Like, she is number 1 on the Empire's list of bounties. Something's up. It's not just because she makes Nala Se feel better. So he kind of let Hunter know that. And now I think moving forward, we are going to dive even deeper into why is she special, because they're going to have to go figure that out. And that's how we as the audience will learn. What about her blood? What about that unaltered clone jizz sets her apart? Yeah. I mean, and she also mentioned it too, like in that conversation, she was like, oh, they're testing M count. Like, she actually brought it up. Right. And I think it was Hunter who was like, M count, like Rex is like, it was Rex. He didn't know exactly what it meant, but he's like, it sounds familiar. Yeah. Like he definitely had heard of that term before. So now they are on a mission, like essentially what their mission is, like, find out what M count is and how this applies to Omega. Right. Like that's what they're trying to do. So that can set up a few things. We know that Nala Se is now in the custody. Has been in the custody of the Empire on Tantus. They can't go to her. Like, that she's out. So like now it starts to bring it back to like, who else knows cloning? Could this be a Boba touch point possibly? It could be a Boba touch point. We don't know how much he knows about cloning, but it could lead in that direction. He did live there for 10 years. Yeah. So like, does he have inside knowledge that he could give to the batch on like, hey, what is M count? What do they mean by this? And you know, you're an unaltered clone. She's an unaltered clone. Could these things be connected to whatever they're trying to do? There's another angle that I don't know if it's available, but like, we know that from the Mando version, like that Dr. Pershing guy knew about cloning. Is he around in this time period? Is he old enough to have already started his work in cloning? Could they bring that character back for the Bad Batch and have that be, you know, a contact that they make? You know, is there anybody else that worked on the clone project that is still around that wasn't on Kamino when it was destroyed? You know, it's like the more you bring up their opportunities to knowledge, it doesn't make the most sense that they go to Boba. I mean, Tech had the data on one of their data pads. Yeah. When he called him the Alpha. So you would think that in the Marauder somewhere that information's still available. I don't know, just the more you are laying out scenarios for them to learn shit, I'm just like, this makes the most sense, and it's going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. We're going to get the Boba we've wanted because, hey, Alpha and Omega, it kind of makes sense that they would at least cross paths or be introduced. And it makes sense story-wise, like Nick's saying, he would know something. He lived there. I mean, he and Django lived on Kamino for the first 10 years. They didn't leave until Obi-Wan's wet ass chased them away. I mean, that was their home base. Yeah. So I do think that the possibility of Boba being in the show is increasing, like as you know, stuff like this happens. I love the idea of that's who they're going to try to track down as a lead. Yeah. I think that does make sense. Like I said, the more you talked about it, where are they going to find on Kamino? I mean, the shit is sunk. They sunk with it. So yeah. So they know that there's nothing there. Right. There's no, like, they can't go, like, Tantus, as you said, is off limits. That'd be foolish. Yeah, they don't even know where it's at, for Christ's sake. So yeah, you can't go to Django. You can't. He's dead. You can't go. You can't go to Dooku. He's also dead. I mean, you could argue that maybe Ventress knows something, and that's why Ventress is coming back into the show. But I doubt that, even, you know, like with her being Dooku's apprentice, like that's the only argument that you could make that she would have any sort of knowledge about the clone program. But I don't think that she would have been privy to that information, especially since
that was under the control of Sidious, and Dooku may not have even had a great amount of information about the clone creation process and everything around that. Like he was one of the contacts because they mentioned Darth Tyrannus.
Yeah. But that's it. I mean, he just went and made the order. It's not like he figured out how to mix the samples and whatnot. So
yeah, so it really does come down to like, did they go to Boba, and has Boba done any sort of further research into his clone background and anything like that?
Well, if anything, he would have known Nala say. I mean, he might have heard things that they didn't think a kid was listening to, and we know it's Boba Fett, who at this point in time has a lot of axe to grind with people. So I'm not saying this is going to be some family reunion either. I mean, it could very well be quite contentious to the point where they may need to knock him out and capture him to ask some questions. I don't think this is going to be, oh, hey, you Boba Fett clone guy, here's your sister. He'll be like, fuck you. I don't have a sister. I'm going to kill you now.
Yeah, I see that somebody brought up this is the way. Is that Boba Fett's cross? Is that Boba's cross? I mean, as far as I know, and Matt, you may know better from comics, but like, I don't think that like Boba ever had like a hero weapon or like a primary weapon that was specifically an energy crossbow.
Recall some of his threads from the Clone Wars, specifically the train heist when he was kind of pretend leading the bounty hunters. I can't remember if he had that crossbow or not. And I'm not just gonna be like, sure or no. So,
I mean, I'm not sure.
I would say I doubt it, but that would be a nice touch.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of options for them is kind of what we're trying to get to here. Is like, if you're trying to find out about M count and you're trying to find out about, like cloning midichlorians, everything that's around that sphere, there you have very limited access. And one of the only other places that you could probably go to get something is like the Jedi archives. But obviously
that's on Coruscant.
Yeah.
In Palpatine's new
infiltration.
Because didn't Palpatine turn the temple into his palace?
Yeah, I think that the Jedi Temple was definitely repurposed for his own use.
So it's like you literally have to go to his palatial estate to secure any. I mean, what if they Gungi? They know Gungi. They know he has the Force. Maybe they could reach out to him, because it's not like they know that M count means Force though. So they even have to figure out what that means first.
Yeah, it's like you have such limited resources, and the one resource that knows everything is in the place that you can't get back to.
That's I don't know. I think the Boba angle now it makes even more sense to how we could have them meet, because we know the data is on that ship, or at least in text data pad somewhere.
Dude, you know who it is? It's fucking Mace Windu. They're bringing him back.
Oh no,
they're bringing back Mace Windu. They know that he knows what M count is. He was around during the Clone Wars.
As soon as he saw these defective clones, he'd be like, "Get out of my face, motherfuckers!" And like, "Wow, waka, waka!" He just
chop them up.
He'd take them out.
He would chop them up.
How did Echo get Boba's crossbow?
That's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't think that it is, and I just wanted to call it out because somebody asked it. I don't even know. That's what I was saying, is like, if you're going to give her like a hero weapon that's from Boba, I would imagine that it would be more noticeable or recognizable. But
yeah, I felt it was a play on her initial weapon that she lost.
Yeah,
and it was
exactly.
Just
she had an energy bow.
Right.
So.
Yeah, here's what's Nova's saying here. Boba could definitely turn on them after they meet and call other bounty hunters after them. We already know. Yeah, I mean, like I said, Boba Fett is not a good person, so don't expect, if they do reunite in any capacity, for this to go well.
Yeah, and like I said, it would be super weird if Boba Fett was like a good guy in this show.
Yeah, he can't be.
And the Empire knew that he was working against them, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, we're going to hire you to find Han Solo." Like,
and that's why Connor from Beyond the Dune Sea brought that point up. He's like, "Yeah, I agree." So there still is something about Omega, and like Bat's saying, I don't think it has anything to do with being Force sensitive.
No.
If it does, that would be fucking basic as hell, which I guess we shouldn't be surprised at. But I don't think it really has much to do with that. It's some secret sauce Nala say figured out. And I do think it might have been something Nala was working on her own. Like, she was fulfilling some sort of mother prophecy, where like Omega was kind of her kid. And who knows? We'll obviously we'll get there. And I don't think any of us are going to be very good at guessing exactly what makes her blood special. And if it is just, oh yeah, she's force sensitive, then if they already figured out how to clone force shit, then why are we even doing this stuff now?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was going to say. If anything, maybe they made another unaltered clone to do testing to see if they could make her force sensitive. Well, like that would be more believable than like this clone popped out like all the other ones, except it's unaltered. And hey, guess what? She has the force. Like, I don't think that's
I mean, you
could
see that they might have saw the writing on the wall and they're like, well, shit, armies, Jedi generals, why not just have a whole fucking battalion of expendable force users?
Yeah, so like maybe that she was their initial like test subject, and then
but it's still even there sideways. Though, Nick. Why did she work? And maybe not Boba, or who cares? Like,
whatever.
I'm sure the real answer is going to be underwhelming. I'm sorry. That's just, I've gotten used to this over the years and being a Star Wars speculator. 9 out of 10 times, what happens is going to be less exciting and lore cool than the dumb shit Nick and I talk about in our basement.
Do you know what it's going to be, and you know how it's going to piss all the incels off? It's going to be because she's a girl and she's the only clone female.
Yeah. No, sure. It's like, Emery probably is, she's Princess Leia. You never know. So who the fuck knows? All right. Good stuff there. But hey, we're not done yet. We got top moments to go through, some ha's I got to get Nick's check on, and then obviously all the references we got here. But it is a fun episode, and we're through 7. I believe we have 8 to go. One more episode that the press got to see, so we know at least next week in episode 8, still no Asajj, but it does seem that we've crossed kind of over the halfway point. Everything's lined up and ready to kind of race towards the end. But like I said, Nick, let's get into some of these top moments. Kind of starting with episode 6 here. I really enjoyed, I said this a bit earlier, I really enjoyed the fact that Rex came back to Teth to use as his base of operations. I mean, like I said, this exact location is a Bomar Monk temple. It was used in the Clone Wars movie that kicked off Star Wars animation way back in 2008. It's funny. In my breakdown, I put the screenshot. You should see how far just the animation has come since 2008. But this exact location was featured in that movie. Now we get to see Rex repurposing it. But more than just, oh, hey, reference, I appreciate the fact that this episode finally showed us what Rex is actually up to, what he's been building, what type of operation he is running. And we see that it's pretty intense. I mean, he's got his own little Masasi Temple command room right here on Teth, very similar to what we saw in A New Hope and in Rogue One. I mean, they got the planning table, they got those neon glass boards with the cool lights. Mm-hmm. You hear him talking about clones are out on this mission or that mission. Each clone clearly has a specialty. Gregor the cook. They're working on various tasks, and it's quite a impressive military operation for rogue clones. So for both the giving us a parallel to past Star Wars and seeing what Rex has been up to since he and Ahsoka crashed with the 332nd, I really loved this check-in on what Rex has been building.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like it makes total sense for him too. Like Rex wasn't going to be the clone to like, oh, all this shit's happened, and then I'm gonna fade into the background and like just live a life. Like Rex is going to be out there organizing, doing what he can. I mean, like even missions like this was a simple security detail. Like obviously the stakes of what was going on in the meeting were high, but like he's doing security detail for senators that are working against the Empire. He's taking jobs that he knows that his men can do but he isn't being stupid about it. Like, he's being very tactical, he's being very smart, and he's also like, he knows that the clones that are out there that aren't loyal to the Empire are essentially either in line for immediate kill on sight execution by Imperials, or are essentially like trying to go into hiding, because even the general public knows that these clones, if they see a clone, they immediately assume that they're associated with the Empire. Like, that's just what they've become conditioned to think now. So he's like giving these people the opportunities to still be, to still do what they do, what they were built and bred to do, but doing it in a way that keeps them safe, keeps others safe, and can give them that satisfaction that they're doing something that is good for the galaxy.
Yeah, it's for the Brotherhood, man. I mean, Rex he's coalesced his group of clones in the name of their brothers. Essentially, like, listen, we got out. We know the Empire's fucked. Now we know for sure that they're essentially using us as lab rats. We can't let our brother's fate be decided by the Empire. And because he's Rex, that's what he's going to do. Like Nick said, Hunter, he's the one that just wants to go fucking kick his legs up on a table at Pabu and eat, Melaroon fruit for the rest of his life. Rex has never, we don't know exactly what he did when he left Ahsoka on that fateful day, but it seems pretty soon after he's going around researching clones, trying to find lost clones and figuring out what the fuck happened with the Empire.
Yeah, I mean, we know he's out there, and we know that he's out there until fucking ROTJ, old man, like in the fucking fatigues with the weapons ready to go. Like, Rex was, from the day that he was activated to the day that he dies, which I'm pretty sure we haven't seen on screen or in comics yet. Like, he's fighting for good. So I'm glad that they made that his arc, and they showed that he's still doing that. Yeah,
it's just, it shouldn't have surprised any of us to see what Rex has kind of built up and just how the men flock to him, the rogues. But it was nice to check in. The guy was here. It really was. It's like we're right back in the Clone Wars era. And it was a beautiful thing. Another top moment here, and it wasn't so much a moment outside just like, wow, this is unexpected, but how about the Shadow Troopers fucking ship, dude? Like, that is one of the more badass and somewhat unique looking Imperial vehicles I've ever seen. There were some hints of the Jedi fighters in there.
Yeah, the shape of it.
Yeah, you've got the all kind of gray Imperial look, but this is just a ship I never expected to see a clone operative have. Not only was it cool looking, but it was almost an extension of his armor. He could control all sorts of bits and pieces of it right there from his, whatever that thing was on his shoulder.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I was shocked to see the Empire give a shadow clone operative this type of a resource. And where the fuck did these things go? And why didn't we see more of these ships against the rebellion?
That's what I was going to say. Clearly this is a stealth ship. Like, this is clearly a ship that's built for stealth, like quiet in, quiet out. Resources dedicated to building this for sure. Awesome looking ship. But then the question comes up, it's like, you build these, but you didn't want to build Thrawn's idea. You didn't want to build the ships that could literally go toe to toe in a dogfight with an X-Wing fighter and give you the advantage in the sky or in space battles over the rebellion. There's questions there, but you know what? It's still fucking cool looking.
Whoever was the minister of the Imperial budget should have lost their job or their life way earlier than they probably did. Because early on here, I do feel like they were almost subconsciously sabotaging Palpatine's long game by not spending the never-ending amounts of money an empire can have. I know we did this bit before, but how do you call yourself an empire that has control of a galaxy that knowingly steals and occupies planets already, and you're too cheap to keep buying clones. Like Nick said, that to produce the vehicles that your admirals are telling you will help you win the naval battles in space. They're just like, nah, fuck it. It's too expensive.
Yeah.
Do the cheap option, please. We're Walmart shoppers, not Target.
Yeah, it's like, where was the Death Star really that expensive? Where it was just like
you're using slave labor, for Christ's sake.
There are literal Wookiee slaves working on this thing. You have contractors,
Cassian Andors making the goddamn targeting array.
90% of your labor is unpaid.
Right. The resources, they stole all the fucking Kyber from Jeddah.
What's the cost here?
Unbelievable.
Let's get the Imperial books.
These fucking contractors. I mean, they must have all been in the galactic mob, the way they were charging the Empire these prices. But it is silly. Either way, this ship was just banging. I'm like,
it was
this
awesome.
We're going to use this ship design on this schmo here that it'll probably go nowhere, never get a toy, nothing. Okay. I mean, so it's like there's like some bat wing to it. Again, I do see the Jedi starfighters a little bit. It even looks like a mini Star Destroyer, for Christ's sake. It's just awesome. Not to mention the functionality. I mean, he's like, before he's even starting to walk towards his target, he's like, beep, 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 beep. Ramps going up, sensors are going on. I don't know. It seemed like a radical ship. So it was a standout moment to me. I also wish my planet had a purple hue to it like Teth, because it just seems like it has very nice sunsets, nice dark nights, and that purple glow throughout the day would do wonders for my skin. Another top moment, I think, this one's going to be from episode 7 here. Obviously, we'll talk a bit more about the Shadow Trooper. He gets some special time. But I did really appreciate, Nick, throughout the episode, or at least when the chase really kind of picked up in earnest as they're going down the spire, just the fact that the Shadow Troopers seem to know all their tactics, where to be at the right time every single time, yet Crosshair also knew to know that person knew what they knew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You can definitely see that Crosshair completed some level of that training.
Well, I guess we can dive into a little bit since we're talking about, but early on in the first episode, the whole reason they bring the batch there is because Hauser doesn't trust Crosshair and thinks they can get some intel. And sure as shit, as soon as Crosshair walks into the interrogation room, the True Believer clone looks up like, why the fuck are you guys questioning me? Talk to this dickhead. Yep. To which Crosshair makes the revelation like, hey, I was going through that shit. It just didn't stick because I have my...
I'm defective.
I have my I'm special, right? I'm a slower version of a clone than the rest of you. So it does seem like it's almost, man, might as well get into it. That line there, I think, negates Tech, right? It can't be Tech. This Shadow Trooper.
No.
If they made it clear, if they went out of their way to be like, listen, the Clone Force 99 types, their sauce is a little too screwy for this to work, so that eliminates Tech. I still think my initial prediction from the season starting of Cody is holding strong. It got even a bit stronger in this episode with the vibroblade use by this Shadow Trooper, a tool we saw Cody wield in season 2, I believe, unless my mind's playing tricks on me. And the fact that, Nick, when we first realized, like, oh, they've got a whole fucking Pez dispenser of these guys.
Yeah.
When Scorch is talking to him, this Shadow Trooper's like, hey, why the fuck did you wake me up?
It's like, why did you activate me?
Yeah, it's almost like I'm special and you should only smash in case of emergency. That's at least the vibes I was getting with this particular Shadow Trooper, Clone X.
Yeah, I definitely do think that this one has the potential to be Cody just because of what you mentioned. Clearly it's a rigorous training program that they're going to. Not all clones can, not all regular clones can make it through it. As you said, some of them died during conditioning. And then obviously the alter or the batch clones, they couldn't make it through either because of their own defective, whatever it is within their genome. So if we're talking about like knocking off these named clones, like we've got Wolf, we've got Gregor, we've got all of the people who are in Rex's crew already, and the biggest name that's kind of standing out to this point is Cody. And it would be like if there is a mission for Cody to be activated for, this is the one. Like, you have to get this girl unharmed from these, other clones, like your, other clone brothers that are still out there and doing work against the Empire. So I do think that like the probability of this new, clone X being Cody is pretty high.
I just like it just makes too much sense. He's such a famous clone. He's the only clone that's actually featured in live action Star Wars in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
He's a clone that, fans just like Rex, they want to know his fate. You can't just leave Commander Cody question marked. Hell, at one point in time, he was supposed to show up in the fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi live action series. That's how important this character is to this era, this point in time in Star Wars. So, as opposed to, Bat keeps saying this Apo guy. I'm like, yeah, sure, Apo name, clone, whatnot, but he's not a Cody in terms of the broad Star Wars landscape. You're going to know, more Star Wars fans are going to know the name Cody versus Apo. Yeah, Cody had 100%. A bigger role to play in both the movie and in the shows than Apo. And Cody is a clone that most fans of the Clone Wars, they feel they need to know how they feel they're owed his fate, Nick. So that's why I'm sticking with it. I think narratively it makes sense both on the skill set. It would be a tragedy because we know Cody wanted to leave and we thought he did leave. So it'd be even more vicious if the Empire roped him back in and brainwashed him into this tool of death. Yeah. And I think it would hit very hard if that reveal was made, especially if, Rex kind of has to deal with it. The tech stuff just, it seems like that's been taken off the table. The only other thing that I'll entertain at this point in time, and even then you have to do a little bit of mental gymnastics, is that this particular shadow is a clone of one of the Bad Batch.
Yeah, that would be such a weird thing too, right? Like, or it's like another 99er that we don't know about, like another fucked up clone that wasn't a part of the batch. Like that was either like the mutation was either too severe.
I really think they're going to go for some sort of narrative hit that fans are going to be like, and I don't, that would not produce it. I'm saying like, what if there's another Hunter, there's another Crosshair there, and that's who this guy is. And it just, listen, this is me trying to be as smart as you, but at the end there, and I've got the screenshot, but when he is drowning Crosshair, it's almost like they purposely made it look like it was a reflection of Crosshair in the water. Do you know what I mean? Like he's holding Crosshair under the water, but if you look at this shot, it's as if the person doing the drowning is seeing themselves.
Yeah, I mean, but you could say that for any clone, though. Like they're all clones, they're all brothers, they all have this kinship around that. I know you're trying to make a case for it. I just think that, like, of all of the options, I think that would be the weakest.
Yeah, see, here, this is the way he's kind of picking up on this. Again, listen, this is a theory I was seeing on Reddit today, so it's not mine, but I'm not 100% out on it, but they're saying here, this is a theory out there that the Clone X is a clone of Crosshair because the Shadow Trooper said, you should be interrogating that guy, meaning the Clone X Trooper looks... That's what I mean. It's like he's thin, he's good at sniping, he's good at fighting. It's almost like him and Crosshair were mirroring each other throughout their battle. I don't know. I still want to be Cody. Don't kill me, Nick. Yeah. But I wouldn't be surprised if we're just fighting mirrored versions of the most badass clones ever produced. At least this Clone X.
Yeah, this one. I mean, it could be. I mean, here's my thoughts on it. This is the last time we're fucking with clones ever in Star Wars. Let's just be real. Like, they're not going to make another animated series where clones are going to be a big part of it, and they may not make any more animated series in this time period ever. Like, this may be the last one, because we've already now kind of connected the dots. You know, like, we started in Clone Wars. We're now continuing Clone Wars like through season 7 and now through Bad Batch, and we already have like what's going on next in Rebels. So if we don't account for the big guys now, they're just not going to get accounted for. Like, they're gonna remain
just
unfinished storylines, and that's just how it's going to go. And I don't think that they would leave Cody out.
That's kind of
like
what I'm working. Oh, hey, look at this. Oh, Perfected Chaos. What up, my man?
What is that, a 10 pound? What's
10
a pound?
pounds? So in American money, I think he just gave us $4,000.
Oh, appreciate Perfected K. Give this guy a wrench, a hammer, all of them.
PK and I go way back, man. James is my boy from back in the Gears of War 1 days. I mean, we're talking 15 plus years ago at this point. So good to see him showing up there. We also look at Star Wars Sith popped in. He's from the Beyond the Dune Sea gang.
Well, there you go.
They're all buddies. So we love to see when other streamers, other Star Wars content creators stop by the SWTS.
Yeah, thank you for showing.
So just kind of wrapping up on Shadow X or Clone X. I guess we'll call this one Clone X. The other ones were Shadow Troopers. How about that? We'll leave it at that. So Clone good. X here, I really am. I'm sticking with the Cody angle. I like that Tech has seemingly been wiped off the board today thanks to the revelation from Crosshair. Defective clones don't work in this program. The clone version of Crosshair, sure, I could see that. Maybe this Clone X is the one that's training all the other Shadow Troopers, and that's why he's like, look, that's the fucking guy that made me nuts.
The way that I took that is like, dude, you were training with me.
Okay.
Like the guy who was like, you should be asking him questions. And the way that Crosshair responded was in line with that. Like, Crosshair was like, look, I was going through the program, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
So like the way that I took that was like, I was training with you. And the Crosshair was like, yeah, you were training with me, but I'm out. Like,
dude, like I said, I think the clone version of a clone is the weakest. Cody is the strongest, but let's be honest with ourselves. A lot of times when we highlight strong narrative and speculation, it's usually a death sentence for it actually playing out in the property.
That is actually true. Yeah,
get ready for it being Tech.
If it's Tech, dude, I'm gonna fucking lose.
They've set it up to. It's got to be a big reveal. The Tech would blow. Cody, I think, is the right choice because like you don't go back to this character at the end of this episode to let us know they lived if they're not being set up for some major narrative punch. I mean, it's clear this Clone X Trooper in particular is different. I mean, he didn't listen to any orders from Wolf. He's like, fuck you. I'll do whatever the fuck I want. I know what they're doing because I think like them. And we clearly have not seen the last of this Clone X yet because we see them on Pabu in the trailer. So bye-bye Pabu. No more Melaroon fruit for Hunter's lazy ass. All right, so well, anyways, we kind of went into the Clone X stuff there, which is fine. We had to do it, but I did really appreciate the Crosshair versus the Clone X, how they were kind of tit for tat with each other all the way till the end, and technically Clone X won the fight. So if it weren't for Hauser coming up in the last second and stunning his ass, see ya. Someone would have been choked out like that worm in Dune to get its blue jism. Bat, listen, man, if it's Apo, we will virtually jiggle your testicles.
Yeah, right? if it's Apo,
you win it, man.
I'll have AI make you a picture of a trophy.
Sweet.
And we will present it to you on the show. I'll say this: Apo got his leg cut off by the kid, by Zet, by fucking George Lucas's son in Rots. So that's canon.
I think it's Darth Vader.
He's
just trying out a new outfit. He's trying out a new lighter suit, less mechanics.
That's right. He's like, what can I get? He's like, can I do this if I don't use the Force and I just get in one of these suits? Can I still hold my own? He's just testing himself out.
No, listen, hey, we will always give credit to those that pick out the rando. So if you get it, we'll have a fucking party right here on this show.
Yeah.
Don't you worry.
You will get your if it's Apo, you will get your props 100%.
No, Chaos, he cannot turn down a virtual ball tickle. They are non-refundable. You're getting those ball tickles whether you want them or not. Okay, kind of getting back to top moments here. And this was a big one. I love this scene. I love the way it was shot. We got the good pulled out angle again to show the divide between two different thinking factions. But I'm talking about the kind of the showdown and ultimately the detente between Rex and Wolf.
Yeah.
I really appreciate this, Nick. It goes to show that really outside of, it seems, the Republic commandos and then clearly the Shadow Troopers and Clone Xers, that the other clones, they can be negotiated with. They're not fully off the deep end. They're still a little into that, hey, good soldiers follow orders. But I don't know. I guess I was expecting this to be a little more raucous, a little more shouty, a little more, no, fuck you, I can't trust you, eat shit, why should I believe you? But it was pretty on the up and up, lots of decorum. It was very civil between these two. And, you got the reveal that everyone thinks Rex died with the 332nd on the down ship, so that was kind of neat. But you saw that Wolf and some of these other clones, hey, we can talk them into the right choice.
Yeah,
now,
I mean,
where things go for Wolf, I don't know. But I was a bit surprised that this was handled the way it was, and that both parties walked away without firing a single blaster.
Yeah, I think that has everything to do with it being Rex. Like if Rex wasn't there, it's going to gunfire for sure. And the only thing that stopped it was Wolf, like, seeing Rex and having that revelation of like, what, not only are you alive, but you are on the other side of things. And we all know how well respected Rex was amongst all of the clones. I don't think that there was a clone.
He's the king of clones.
Yeah, like there was nobody that had any negative word to say about Rex during the time of the Republic. And even now, you can see that respect carries over even when Rex is on the other side of the coin.
Well, it's like Bat saying here, he's making a good point. This reminded me of Rex and Jesse, but Wolf was smart. And he's talking about the showdown on that Star Destroyer where we can't completely blame Jesse. They were like 3 hours into Order 66. So at least Wolf's had a year or two to kind of let that chip fizzle a bit and get used to his new Imperial life. But yeah, Bat does have a good point. When Rex is in the room, he's going to try and talk his brothers out of a fight. It's really up to the other brother and how the encounter is going to end.
Yeah, I mean, but even in that conversation, I think that Rex said, yeah, we lost a lot of brothers on both sides. Mm-hmm. So it's not like he's not looking at all of the other clones on the Imperial side as combatants. He's like, look, you guys are still my brothers, and it's my job to save you.
Well, I think what did it is hearing it from Rex, like, hey, Wolf, bro, you are hunting a child.
Yeah.
Like, slow down and repeat that to yourself and think about, is this who Wolf is? Is this who Wolf was designed to be? And while he wasn't like, hey, yeah, fuck it, I'm going with you guys, he got it. He understood. He's like, you know what? They might be traitors, like he said to Lieutenant Hilton, but they're clones, and we should show them that respect.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe it was just like, hey, this time we'll see, and next time you're fucked. But obviously we know that's not going to be the case, because Wolf, Gregor, and Rex are,
I mean,
for all we know, the last 3 clones alive during the Galactic Rebellion. Yeah.
I mean, what I really think has happened here is we were sitting here, we're trying to figure out, like, what's their way into Tantus? Like, how do they get it? Like,
you show up with a bunch of brothers and you're like, well, fuck.
Well, I think what's happened now is that Wolf is clearly the leader of this clone faction, and not only the leader of this clone faction has been trusted enough to give direct orders to these Clone X things, which we know are special operatives. Like,
and boy, did Clone X listen to those orders.
Oh yeah, he didn't. No listening.
He was
went
awesome.
Down.
He would just sit there and be like, okay, you done? And then immediately be like, all right, I'm going to do my thing.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking now is, like, we were speculating, like, is it an Order 99 that could happen from Emery? It, like, how did they get into and not immediately, you know, get killed within Tantus? And now maybe this is the seed, you know, like Rex has planted this seed with Wolf. Can Wolf talk to enough clones that are still loyal to the Empire to potentially get them to turn over? And then that way, when the invasion of Tantus goes down, there's already a loyal faction of clones that are free inside of the facility to help them if the Order 99 stuff doesn't happen.
I mean, side. Nick, you I think you're spot on, because if you look at the scene, I've got one of the screens up now, but in addition to Lieutenant Hilton, who was the commando, there's at least 6 or 7 regular clones.
Yeah.
No TKs. They clearly, you notice, I hope everyone noticed that. I think that's also one of the reasons Wolf was able to make the choice he made, because the TKs were either killed or stunned at this point.
That's what I was gonna say. They took out all of the TKs in the fucking smoke, dude. Like, no,
they killed a lot of them too. I mean, one or two got stunned, but the one guy that, you know, they shot him right through the cockpit. See ya.
Yeah, through the window. Yeah,
yeah. Yep. You can tell the clones are like, yeah, fuck you TKs, but we'll try and
they're
stun
like looking
bros.
at the helmet. They're like, is his helmet different?
Yeah, not a clone helmet. Pew! Oh, clone helmet. Pew! But yeah, so. Obviously, they heard that play out. They saw what their leader did. That is going to impact them, even if they're gung-ho, good soldiers follow orders. They're going to start sitting there internally questioning what just went down. Hey, Nick, did Wolf just let insurgents go because they're clones? And they're taking care of a little girl? What are we doing? Like, why are we doing this shit? And
I mean, like,
are we doing the right thing? Is the Empire even right? What are they doing to us?
Exactly. Like, this could be the first time that any of these clones have seen other clones.
No, you're right, Nick.
On the other side.
If you remember, right when they landed, Wolf is kind of surveying the initial damage from Clone X, and he's like, "These aren't insurgents. These are clone troopers."
Exactly. Yeah. So, like, these people, like these clones have probably been told, like, all of the other clones are dead. Rex is dead.
Yep.
You and like all of your brothers are loyal to the Empire. Like, why would they have any reason to believe otherwise? Like, they're completely under the control of the Empire. They're being fed information from the Empire. They've never encountered other, you know, hostile clones out in the wild. Like, this meeting completely changes their perspective on how this war is going and what is going on within the Empire.
Yeah.
Straight up. So
I guess my question to you now then is, what happens to Wolf? I mean, you got to think they were sent directly from Tantus. You knew Omega was there. You have all these other clone witnesses. You have one of the commandos who seem to be ultra obedient to the Empire.
Yep, Hilo.
I mean, is this something like you said that he can kind of keep under wraps within this squad and potentially build a resistance movement from within? Or does he get punished right away and he just becomes another one that they got to save in the end?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the way that this ended, you're like, he's fucked, because there's no way that he's going to be able to convince all of, I mean, like, if you just look at the number of clones, I mean, like, just a rough count, 5.
It's close. It's probably like
9,
9, 10.
I mean, it's probably
yeah, there's a shit ton.
10,
You're right.
13,
in the wide
15,
shot, yeah.
16, 17, there's 18 clones.
Yeah,
and
it's
that
like a full
includes
platoon.
Yeah, like, there are 18 separate clones that witnessed this incident. Do they all trust Wolf enough to not say anything? So it's either he gets turned in and somebody else they figure out their way into Tanis through somebody else, and then they have to free Wolf along with everybody else, like he's another interned clone, or all of these members of his squadron trust him enough to not say anything, and then he becomes their in. That's your two options.
Okay.
And I'm really leaning towards he becomes their in, because
so he plays the slow game then, where he's like they're getting off the ship, and he essentially does the Luke nod at all of them, like, all right, we're good, right? We got the plan, okay? All right, everyone shut up. Let's go back to the barracks, fucking eat some food.
Yeah.
Okay.
And at least, like, the way that he would position it to them is like, hey, let's us talk about this before we make any decisions on how we proceed, is kind of how I'm thinking about.
I just don't trust those commandos, man. Like I could see Lieutenant Hilton fucking them up.
Yeah. So especially because he has a deep grudge against Crosshair. Like, if somebody's going to flip, it's going to be him. And you could tell right up front, because he was like, what are you, like, specifically at Crosshair, like, you tried to kill all of us. Oh,
no, I'm sorry. Lieutenant Hilton is the Republic Commando.
Oh, I thought he was Hilo.
You're right. You are right. It is Hilo. So
yeah,
I was close.
Yeah, no, Hilo's the Republic Commando. There
Correct.
was
Hauser is the one that
on the good
initially,
side.
And you know what? I'm glad you brought him up, because he became a fan favorite, I believe, after season 1 with the Ryloth episodes.
Yeah.
And it was nice callback, because you got to remember, that's when Crosshair was deep into good soldiers follow orders.
Exactly.
Got a lot of Hauser's guys killed. Essentially got, I think, Hauser locked up ultimately because he wouldn't execute an order after that.
Mm-hmm.
But that is, like I said, I'm glad you brought that up, because that was a nice little mini arc we had within these 2 episodes, where the Rogue clones were very anti-Crosshair to start.
Mm-hmm.
And then over time, as they talked and experienced some battles with each other, it became clear, like, you know what? He got fucked over just as much as the rest of us. And you know what? It just took him a little longer and a little more abuse, a little more torture to realize that he's a disposable piece of shit like the rest of us were to the Empire.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I do think that, and here's my thought, you know, like, our initial speculation is that we could get Emery as the clone, but up to this point, we really haven't seen enough of Emery to I really know what she's doing. Like, she's still a mystery to me, honestly.
That's why I still think she may be, like, in the end, like, pulling out the gong there.
Yeah.
I mean, before you get into this, because I want to keep, I like your Wolf stuff. I guess my question is, though, Nick, do you really see them dedicating narrative time to a Commander Wolf operation when we still have all the other pieces to kind of move around?
Yeah, I mean, because at this point, all he needs to do is give them the location.
Well, like, you know what? I guess you could get right into this if they pick up on where this left off and Wolf gets questioned by Hemlock or something, right? You would figure out early on, all right, where are we taking this Wolf thread? Is it going to go somewhere like Nick is saying, where he's going to essentially start building an insurgency from within? Or is he immediately punished and we know that, all right, he's just another one that they're going to have to save?
Because there's only, like, what you can't do is nothing with Wolf. Like, you can't have this episode end and then, like, they just never touch on him again until
he, like Gregor, were the two you in Rex. You had to figure out their 3 journeys. That's it. Like,
yeah.
But Nick is not wrong. I mean, Wolf is one of those that you have to have a finalized path for him out of the Bad Batch. Like, it has to be clear that he makes it out. He's okay.
Yeah,
because he made.
It's also like this dude just committed high treason against the Empire.
That's what like. That's what I mean. That's it. I guess yeah. So there is some narrative meat. Up. Yeah. You're right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
There's got to be some sort of even if it's like, well, somebody from his squad turned him in and he gets shot in the head.
Yeah, no,
well, I mean, we know that doesn't happen, obviously.
It does make complete sense. You do have to follow up on what Wolf did because of how egregious it is against the Empire and really, by default, Palpatine's number one goal right now. I mean, he directly went against the Emperor. Yeah,
like
not good.
In no uncertain terms. Like, obviously, he doesn't know about Project Necromancer and the importance that Omega holds within that program, but he was given specific orders that he repeated multiple times to Clone X, saying, we are to take in the asset unharmed and alive. Like, this dude had his marching orders from the moment he got there and reiterated them multiple times, and he went against those in about as bad a way as possible, because if he would have went against them and he was the only person there, not a big deal. You can make up some story, whatever. He went against them with his whole fucking squadron behind him.
That's why it was such an amazing moment. I did not expect it at all. I was like, wow, this is a
what a stand.
Okay. All right, Wolf. Yeah. Okay. He's got some emotions left. He can still think a bit clearly. We got League here saying she does not believe Emery is a clone. Well, unless Emery is lying in universe, she is a clone because she's the one that specifically said it. So, I guess there's characters can lie to kind of get their whatever means they're working towards. But she did specifically say at the end of last season, in fact, that, hey, I'm just like you to Omega. All right, sweet. So we hit the top moments. How about some references and shit? Because we definitely don't have any Easter eggs. We've been throwing some of their names out here and there. I guess I'll go with this guy because he's probably the most famous. But we got tons and tons of references to old clones, both from Clone Wars and Bad Batch. Hauser, Greer, Samson, Fireball, Nemec, and Gregor. And sadly, Nick, all of them die outside of Hauser, and we know Gregor somewhere made it. He was off cooking this whole episode. He didn't seem to really get mixed up into the action.
Oh, wow. Maybe she's a Hemlock clone. I don't think that could happen, though, because they've lost the ability to make new clones. But that is a cool thought, Linda.
What else we got here? Oh, so when we check in right at the beginning with the Senator. All right, Senator Singh, he's been featured throughout the Clone Wars and Bad Batch. He used to be a separatist, which is interesting. You got, as he and Chuchi, another reference, pointed out, you now have two opposite sides working together against the Empire. So it didn't take Palpatine long to bring the galaxy together against him.
Yeah, exactly.
So good job there. And then, GS8 was with Singh. Like I said, Chuchi was there as well. I've already went into the Teth stuff multiple times. That was a great little callback from the Clone Wars movie. When Rex was interrogating the first Shadow Trooper, he says, "Where you from? Darrow? Tantice?" And if you remember, Darrow is the planet that Rex sent the Bad Batch to in season 1 to rescue Gregor. So that was like a known facility that they were holding clones at after the end of the Clone Wars. So that was interesting. Commander Wolf, that was a no-brainer. We've talked about him. I did verify Lieutenant Hilo, as Nick corrected me on, was not an existing character. He was new for today. The only other eggs we have, I also touched on this briefly, but when, Wolf runs into Rex again, he's like, "Brother Rex, you died on that Star Cruiser."
Yep.
And for those not in the know, that he's directly referencing one of the most powerful and poignant moments from the Clone Wars. It's in its final season. I believe the final episode of the Clone Wars itself.
Yeah, it's the last one.
Yeah, when you see what Rex and Ahsoka had to go through to survive Order 66 together, and the trauma that would have levied on them both, Rex in particular, essentially having to take out an entire division, the 332nd of his bros, because they just didn't have enough time to unfuck the chip, as they say in canon. That's the official term I believe they used in universe. They need to unfuck their chips, and their chips did not get unfucked. Therefore, they got fucked in a big bad way. So much so that Vader went there a few years later to kind of check in on the wreckage, and we got that great little cell, that scene where he sees his apprentice's old saber hilt, picks it up, looks up, and Mirai is checking him out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's that. So Nick, a few ha's. Let's see if you might have corrected my thinking throughout here. All right, so we have determined what Nick and I used to call true believers. They are now known as Shadow Troopers to the Rogue Clones, and Clone X Trooper according to the credits. So here on the SWTS, the one that survived, he will move forward as Clone X.
Just call him Weapon X.
There you go.
Oh wait, that's somebody else.
it's a female, right? Or is that Wolverine?
Weapon X is just Wolverine.
Okay,
yeah.
X-23 was
X-23 is
there you go. I am excited for Deadpool Wolverine. I do think that will be
fun,
will redeem the comic book movie run here, I believe. Crosshair 2 defected to be brainwashed. We nailed that. We learned that this is an actual program ran by Hemlock, so it's kind of like his little special baby. We talked about the new one. It seems to be special. He's acting, why am I activated now? Vibroblade skills just seemed a little more intelligent, stealthy, and effective than the one that got himself captured pretty quickly in the beginning. And
insubordinate too.
Yes,
insubordinate to like a pretty crazy level for somebody who's gone through the conditioning that he has.
Well, that's how you know they're even more special, or not truly under the tutelage or the ranks of your traditional clones. They do kind of operate on their own rule set.
Yeah.
Why they get a special ship, we don't know. The ships are definitely seem suited for assassins, so I guess we'll just have to take that verbatim. Talked about Omega and her toothpick. Did love that. It was I don't know if anyone picked up on it. It was early on in the first episode when they realize that they have to go to meet with Rex and his clones, but she's just sitting there literally studying Crosshair with his toothpick so she can do it the right way. You gotta love the little kid. It's a thing of beauty, and it's just further evidence that Crosshair's death may now be even more tragic than Tech's, because they're doing the same thing they did to Tech last year, where they're building him up, humanizing him a little bit, taking him out of his comfort zone, making him feel like he actually does care. I mean, hell, he was petting the dog last episode. Anyone see Wrecker save Batcher in this episode? When the TKs first show up and they're all running towards fire, he grabs Batcher and rolls out of Fire's way. But I dig Omega. She's a great little character. Fireball is dead. Namek is dead. Pretty much all the named clones are now dead outside of Hauser, Gregor, and Rex. And then I asked Nick what happens to Wolf. So I think you have taken care of all of my questions that my brain could not resolve myself. So Nick, let's set up next week. Let me pull up the title real quick. I probably should have done that prior to this segment. So while I'm doing that, why don't you just start flapping your gums again about something?
Yeah, I mean, next week in terms of like logical follow-up, without even knowing the title, I think that it's really hard now to ignore Tantus again. You know, like
it's been three straight episodes,
and we now have an in back into Tantus The next one is called Bad Territory.
There you go. Bad Territory.
Bad Territory.
I was going to say, Nick, the next one is called Bad Territory.
Yeah, so there we go. Bad Territory. Yeah, so I mean, we are now in a position to where we have ignored Tantus since the escape. But we now have a reason to go back to it. Because we know we have to follow up with Wolf. Like I was saying, it's really hard to not follow up with Wolf given what just happened and given how many people just witnessed it. He was under direct orders from Hemlock, I would assume, because an order that he was given to pick up this asset and retrieve it and bring it back to Tantus.
They were specially formed for Omega. I mean, when Clone X called in, like, hey, release the recon team. So we're gonna have some problems.
So I mean, I'm assuming that even given the title of Bad Territory, I mean, Tantus is pretty bad territory. I don't think that the full episode is going to be focused on Tantus, but we know two things. We know that we need to follow up with Wolf, given what just happened between him and the Batch and their allies, and we also know that we still have Clone X that's going to be on their tail. I don't know if he has a way to actually follow them, like, find out where they're going. But we do know that he's still a player. So I do think that there's going to be a continued pursuit of the Batch.
Could we potentially be going back to Pabu yet again? Because they're not on the Marauder. They're on Echo's ship. I forget where the Marauder's at. Because they were on Echo's ship to start this, right? Oh, the Marauder.
Yeah,
hell, yeah, because they never went back to their home base after the mission with Echo to get the unlock Nala Se's data pad. So they probably almost have to go back to Pabu to get their ship back.
To get there, yeah.
And then, like I said, it seems, Rex and them, they're going to go leave us again, more than likely. But the Bad Batch, their focus is going to be, okay, how do we gain knowledge about Omega? So I do think you're right. I think we're going to get we're going to dip in with them on Pabu to kind of set up where the clone factions go next. But like you, I believe we also get a heavy helping of Tantus. Check in on Wolf, see what sort of anxiety and stress Hemlock is now feeling after he has missed her twice. Mr. I have all the resources of the Empire at my disposal. You've already fucked up twice. Most people in your situation would be dead by now.
Yeah. Like the only reason that Hemlock is not dead is because they really don't have anybody else to lead Project Necromancer. And that's putting Palpatine in a really weird position because he's so used to being able to dispatch people who have failed him that now he's in a position to where if I kill this guy, then what do I do? Who's nobody else can do this.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. And then after Bad Territory, the week after that, the Harbinger, which usually means bad. That could potentially be the Bounty Hunter episodes. Identity Crisis, Point of New. We get a two-banger on double. April 3rd.
Yeah.
And then it's singles to end it out. All right. Hey, man, Bad Batch Season 3 has been great so far. I'm digging it. We are about at the halfway point, and we have 15 episodes, just finished 7 here, so almost there. Almost there.
Yep. Yeah.
All right, well, Nick, I think it's time for the ye olde fan segment here on the Star Wars Time Show. We do it every week because we just want people to like us, god damn it. So we try to involve our fans. We have 3 avenues to get enrolled into the fan segment. First one being questions you ask us. Second one being questions we ask you. And the third one being Nick's bread and butter. And that is our top 5 Star Wars fan artists of the week. So to kick things off, we will start with questions to us. Just let me get a few screens flipped around here. Little dingo dango. Again, these are just open-ended questions. You could ask us anything. It could be about Star Wars, real life, aliens, politics, hopefully not, but we are open books here. All right, first question comes from our buddy Johnny Osage Avenue.
Indeed.
If there was a live-action movie made of Star Wars Visions, which story would you pick?
That's a super good one. That's a super good question. And I actually pulled up the episodes for volume 1. I think the obvious answer, or like the easy answer, is The Duel, which was the one that was all in black and white. That was the one where you had like the Ronin Jedi that fought against the bandit raid in the village. It was all black and white.
Yeah.
I think that one's really cool, and I think you could tell a really awesome story specifically around that Ronin. And there's probably, and I think that there is already a book like that already has the novelization out.
And I think another one's coming around the Duel.
So I do think that would be the easiest one to adapt, because there's already like content outside of that one that is available. The one that I really enjoyed was The Ninth Jedi.
Yep. That's mine right there. I mean, it's to me, The Duel, yeah, 100%. It's there, but The Ninth Jedi, it felt to me, even in that first season, that there should have been an episode 2 for the second season.
Yeah.
They built a universe there in 15 minutes. And it was one I was very, very excited to see where it'd go, because it was a whole thing like, hey, you know, the Force is kind of hidden, and lightsabers, we don't know who has what, and this, that, and the other thing. This entity brings all these Force beings to this planet to sniff them out, and then this happens and that happens, and I loved it. So I'm with you, man. The Ninth Jedi, and the title, like the summary there was: the daughter of a lightsaber smith is pursued by dark forces while on a dangerous mission. It just, like, the lore to that one, man, seemed, like I said, there was already trilogy written. It was like the content was already there, and I wanted to see more.
Dude, it almost felt like this studio and these writers had like written. There was like they did a whole movie, and they were just like, here's 15 minutes of it, and like, or like they had like, hey, like here's episode 1, but we have 8 more episodes ready to go. Like it really did feel fully fleshed out.
It was a perfect pitch for a franchise, and it was a 15-minute short. It's like, fuck.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, me and Matt are 100% aligned on that one.
When I saw that earlier, it went right to that. I forgot the title, so I had to look that up there, Johnny, but head went right there. From season 2, I like the one with the sisters kind of in that really dungy looking world, but I also like the one where it was with the Indian characters.
Yeah, that one was really cool too.
You had that Inquisitor, and they were Indians, like as in India Indians type of deal. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Johnny. We got one more coming from our friend League. She took the sliding into our DMs route to get it across, but she's asking, do you think it was the correct decision to sell Star Wars to Disney? If not, what company would you choose to take over the franchise?
It's a good question. I think that they did make the right decision purely because George Lucas and Disney and the Disney brass already had a very deep relationship. And it was kind of hard to tell that from the outside, but if you had been to Disney parks and you saw the involvement that Star Wars had in Disney parks, like the ride, like the Star Tours ride, but not only just that, like they were doing like full on Star Wars weekends for like a decade before.
Yeah, you had all those dancing stages, the big, I mean, even before Batu showed up, then you had like a big AT-ATs in the park there. I mean, it still felt like whatever one that is, Nick, you know them, I don't, but it felt like that park was mostly Star Wars anyways. Yeah,
like Hollywood Studios had like a very big section of it that was dedicated to Star Wars before Star Wars was even owned by Disney. And 2, regardless, and I'm just gonna say it straight up, it doesn't matter who bought it. People were gonna shit on it regardless. And I will say that Disney, of all of the ones who could have bought it, had the best quality material out that was Star Wars adjacent enough to be like for George to look at it and say they can do it right. Because WB had the DC universe, which was complete fucking trash. if you look at like any other big movie studio, like any, not even big movie studios, but like entities that were large enough that could afford to buy Star Wars and then do something with it. Disney was Sony
Fox.
putting it like Sony and Fox, like, well, I mean, Disney would go on to buy Fox.
I was going to say, I mean, a lot of the studios we'd even mentioned that were around in 2012 have been eaten by either Disney or WB.
Yeah.
I think Paramount still exists, right, Nick? We got Paramount.
Yeah, Paramount.
Universal.
Warner Brothers, Universal.
But Universal, is Universal its own thing, or is it under like Warner Brothers or Paramount now? That's what I mean.
I think
it's like Disney will now put out Fox-based, or used to be Fox franchise movies, but now Disney owns Fox, so they own 20th Century Fox.
Yeah. So like, I don't know if Universal is owned by
still its own thing,
somebody else, or if its own thing. But regardless, like, WB was trash because of the DC universe. Sony was already showing its issues within its own, like, you know, Marvel Cinematic Universe that it was trying to build.
They own Spider-Man, and they put out movies like Madam Web. That's what Sony does with their big IP.
So like they were trash. Like Paramount wasn't sizable. Paramount still isn't sizable enough to be able to purchase Star Wars for the amount that Disney did. And Universal was the only one that was like in a position to where,
and they were floundering with their monster movie franchise. Remember, they were starting to get that off the ground with Tom Cruise and the zombie and or mummy or whatever.
That is true. So like they were already like, they did that that Tom Cruise movie and stuff like that. So like Disney was the only one that was in a position that had quality content out with the MCU that people could look at and be like, okay, like they make good movies. All of the other ones were shit in the bed, and they also probably just didn't have the capital to do it.
Right? Yeah, I just like, listen. Is it the correct decision for fans? Yes, because we would have gotten no new Star Wars. I mean, he tried doing Underground, even that he's like, fuck it, I'm over this shit. And Nick laid it out. Disney is and has always been the only entity that really could have taken this on and fostered it in a way that George would have signed off on. So
yeah, and it's like Universal's owned by NBC. It's NBC Universal, so it's one entity. But NBC is one of the most adverse to like the whole superhero like franchise movement, and really like the biggest franchise that NBC Universal has now is Jurassic, because they've now announced another another Jurassic movie. Like,
yay.
But that's really like, they have Jurassic and they have Fast and the Furious. And Fast and the Furious is just trash that they know is trash.
It's so good, but it prints cash, bro. I can't wait to see FFFX-2.
Yeah, no, like they now know that they could make the worst movie ever, slap a fucking Fast and the Furious title on it, and it's gonna make hundreds of millions of dollars.
I can't wait.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think that there was a better option. Like, truly, I don't think that there was a better option. And really, if you ask me about Disney Star Wars quality, the only thing that I'll have to say negative is the sequel trilogy. And it's not even all three movies. I really do think that like it was just the director decision. Like, I really do think that if you don't make that decision, that the sequel trilogy is fine. Like, if you have a cohesiveness across that, then it's fine. And I do think that all of their TV properties that they've put out have been quality. Like, I can't name, like, you could say maybe Book of Boba Fett. Like, maybe Book of Boba Fett is like teetering on the quality edge.
Yeah, but still, I mean, very highly serviceable compared to like some of the other shit that comes out set in a far-fetched sci-fi universe.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd say the only stuff that's come out that's been better is what Paramount, or I guess CBS, has been doing with the Star Trek TV series.
With Star Trek.
Those are like the titties to the tits. I mean, if people haven't started watching Discovery or just Star Trek or the other one yet, I mean, holy hell, that is some quality sci-fi, and it's like adult Star Trek. Like there's gore, they swear, it's pretty in your face type of shit.
Yeah, like it's all quality stuff. But I still think, like, you could have asked me that in 2012 when the acquisition happened, and like I would have said the same thing.
Yeah,
and then today I would have said the same thing.
It's always been Disney. So thanks to League and Johnny for participating. Now we're going to see if anyone responded to our question. And I got it out late. Like I said, I've been feeling a little apathetic this week. But as always, we're just letting people know, hey, what's your favorite or least favorite moment from the latest episode of Bad Batch Season 3? And of course, we can count on the usual suspects.
All right. Yes. So the favorite moments from Bad Batch Season 3, latest episodes. So infiltration and extraction. Tones kicking it off. Always love to see Tones hitting the question of the week. He says, outstanding episodes with exceptional writing and animation. The locations looked absolutely stunning, and the standoff at the end was so perfect. These 2 episodes alone were easily the best that I've watched in a long time. So Tones,
Tones, fan. If you're new here, he's the elder statesman of the SWTS fandom. So we respect him for his sage and wise opinions.
Indeed. Next up, Johnny Osage. So Johnny coming in again. He says, hey now SWTS, these 2 episodes were just great. I think that there might be more to Wolf being out of the loop, and super glad that Crosshair didn't drown at the hands of Cody. Wait, did I just say that out loud? Johnny knows.
You know what? I do want to make a point to some fans out there. There's a reason Tones, Johnny, Bango, Bat, Nova are on every week, because they interact with our content, which means IG shows it to them when we post it. So if you're going, hey, how come I never see it? You need to start looking us out, liking some of our posts, maybe leaving a comment, maybe sharing, so you can kind of train the machine. But that's a reason why these fine, young, and somewhat elderly men are always in the question of the week.
That's right. Yeah. So just for those of you out there who are listening, if you see a Star Wars Time Show post on your Instagram feed, just hit the heart. You don't have to comment on all. Just hit the heart. After a few times of hitting that heart, we'll pop up more.
It'll learn.
And then you'll see the question of the week, and then you drop your comment on there.
You never know. We'll make you famous.
Yeah, we'll get your name right out. All right, so good stuff there from Johnny. Johnny's in the know. He knows it's Cody. Next up, Bango 31. He says, man, I slept until 2 p.m. today. I'm so behind. Going to catch the show on audio tomorrow.
He was in here listening, so he must have got his act together and finished the assignment. It's good for Bango.
So good stuff there. Thank you, Bango. Glad that you were able to make it to the show. 2797 Studios, Mr. Bat says, I'll take the obvious answer for 200, Pat, and say Wolf's reemergence. I like that. He's a Jeopardy fan. He says, how cool was it to see him again? I didn't like he was oblivious to everything going on around him, but glad to see him again. The storylines coming together is fun too. Yeah, I mean, I think the obliviousness was just kind of like what we were talking about, is like he is only being given information from the Empire. He's only being given orders from the Empire. He's not seeing or interacting with the world at large anymore. So he's really just like being fed disinformation or like very specific information from his Imperial contacts. And, he like, who is he to say that Rex is still alive if he's been told by Imperial brass that like, all those clones died at the end of
dude, if anything, like, not to get too real world, it just goes to show you the power of disinformation.
Yeah.
What you can do to people. I mean, look what's happening just right now in this point in time, how strong disinformation is and the levers it can move of society. It's fucking freaky.
Yeah.
All right. On to the last 2 here.
The last 2, we have Nova Toymation says, so many great moments in these 2 stellar episodes, but getting Wolf on screen again was badass. I'm really hoping we'll see him join Rex's team by the end of Bad Batch to pay off on their Rebels connection. Yeah, I think that's what we're all waiting for.
Take it to the bank.
For sure. And then final one here, Mando Pirate says, I loved seeing the Rebel clones.
Rogue clones.
Rogue clones, not Rebel clones. No Rebel yet here, sir. No Rebel clones here yet. And that there's a whole mess of True Believer clones. I can't wait to find out who the mystery True Believer is.
Love it.
Cody. It's Cody.
Has to be.
But yes, thank you all for responding to our question of the week. So for those of you out there who want to get involved in that segment, Instagram, make sure to follow and like our posts so you get to see them more often come across your feed.
I like this we got a new fando in here, Nick. This is the way. They've been an active stream commenter.
There we go.
And now they want to get in on the question of the week. So I'll have to start looking at Twitter to see if anyone picks that up. But I'll try my best. This is the way we take care of the fans that show up for the SWTS. Don't you worry. That's right.
That is right. So thank you to everybody who participated in the question of the week. That is one of the 2 ways or 3 ways now that you can get involved with submitting us a question.
There's too many ways, Nick. Too many ways.
Too many ways. So you can submit us a question. You could answer our question, or the final way to get involved in the fan segment is to be a Star Wars art poster. And to get involved with
poster,
that.
Right? I mean, it could be anything. As long as it has Star Wars in it.
That's right. So to get involved in the top 5 Star Wars fan artist features of the week, make sure to follow us at starwarstime.show on Instagram and add tag at starwarstime.show on all of your Star Wars Instagram posts. That is how you will fall into my realm, the tagged posts realm.
I go good, Nick. Keep going.
Matt's having a heart attack here. He may not be around for much longer, but I'm still going to tell you guys how to get involved in the top 5. You add tag at starwarstime.show on all your Instagram posts. That is how you fall into our tag post where I pull the top 5 from.
Thank you. I'm struggling
but also
over here.
Make sure to use the hashtag Star Wars Time Show on your Star Wars posts as well. That is how you get on Matt's radar for the daily features. So that's it. That's how you get involved in the top 5
I need a fucking cough button installed, man.
Matt needs a muter. He needs to
have
hold
it,
down
but
to mute.
I'm so used to my old setup to where if I hit a button midstream, it would just blow shit up.
Everything.
So I know it would probably work, but I'm sorry, it's PTSD from when we took the show live back in 2020, and every single week, either my mic would drop out, Nick's mic would drop out, camera feeds would drop out. It was nonstop. So
yeah. Also, this is the way for those of you. If you want to get further involved in the community, there is a link in our Instagram profile that leads to our open Discord.
That's right.
That is over 50 members strong. It is a good way for those of you who want to interact beyond the show. There are a lot of Star Wars fandos in there that talk about episodes as they come out, toss out speculation, just talk about fun shit. So if you want to get involved beyond the live stream,
tips us off to the new Hot Toys buys that I just last week because of Tones, I dropped another $900 pre-orders for Hot Toys.
There you go. So you can get involved.
I fucking hate myself, and I do that, and then I go on this family trip, see the bill at the end, and I just go,
"Oh no."
Fuck.
Link in the chat. I believe we can link in the chat for you. Perfected Chaos.
Thing to do, right?
So I'll drop a link in the chat as well to our link tree, and then you guys can use this to get straight to our Discord. Here you go, folks. There it is. Click that link tree link right there, and then you'll see Star Wars Time Discord on there. Click that button, and you will be added to our Discord.
Where'd you send that? To our chat that I need to give to their chat?
I put it in the stream chat, so it's in there. They got it. They got it. But anyway, to kick off the top 5 for this week, we're starting off with at Collectibles Nat, and Collectibles Nat hits us with an awesome leisure time Luke shot, as I call it. The leisure time Luke shot. So this is Farm Boy Luke still on Tatooine before his dreams of becoming a rebel pilot have come to fruition, and he's just laying on his speeder, looking at the twin suns of Tatooine with an awesome purple kind of, like purple orange sky happening during the transition of the twin suns. It's really a beautiful shot with the coloration. Collectibles Nat got those two twin suns in there in an amazing fashion. It looks incredible. And it's a shot of Luke like we've never seen him before, dreaming big, as
not bitching and moaning and whining, Yeah, he's just I think a lot of this shot is practical too, Nick. I mean, I think most of the set is practical.
Cotton, like lit cotton in the back.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think collectibles and that goes into it. No, just dream big, everyone. But yeah, I don't know. It's a it's greatly staged shot. Like you said, you can literally feel Luke dreaming about a better life as he sits there and probably in the back of his head curses out his Uncle Owen for being a stupid piece of shit. So
he's got power converters and he's got to pick them up. He doesn't have time for moisture evaporators.
Uncle Owen, you jerk face. But this is our buddy at Collectibles Nat. I'm pretty sure this person's from Pittsburgh. That's where the Nat comes from, because in Pittsburgh we don't typically learn full words. We'll throw N's in instead of and other fun lexicon changes. Collectibles and that over on Instagram. All right, who's next there, Nick? Ooh, I'm a big fan of this one.
Mr. Stormtrooper Davis, who gives us an awesome scene recreation from ROTS, a lot of people's favorite Star Wars movies, if I'm to understand that correctly. But we get a full recreation of the Yoda essentially going ham on all of the Order 66 clone troopers outside of the Jedi Temple, before him and Obi-Wan break in and change the transponder codes to make sure that no other Jedi come back to the temple, change the distress signal. But the way that he got this shit, because this was like the most iconic shot from this scene, was Yoda essentially like taking one of these dudes to his knees then jumping on him and then fucking taking him out. Like, this shot that Mr. Stormtrooper Davis did is fucking spot on to that. Awesome scene recreation for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is, like I said, when this first came up, I'm a big fan of this one. Remember seeing it and featuring it out in one of the reels Nick mentioned that come up throughout the week. And it's just a spot on recreation of Yoda running up that dude's chest and relieving him of his duty. Duty. Listen, it's great stuff. I mean, iconic scene from Revenge of the Sith, one of the more memorable scenes because, there's no stupid dialogue taking place. But Mr. Stormtrooper Davis, give them a follow. Very active account. Lots of good stuff to look at over there on Instagram.
That's right. Next up is Dark Scythe _25. And hey, I'm a big leisure time person. I love seeing stormtroopers enjoying their leisure time as well. So what we're seeing right now is, as Dark Scythe 25 put it, some Hoth downtime for the troopers, and we see this stormtrooper in particular having fun on a snowmobile, jumping it off of a little snow hill. I mean, honestly, this gives me like Sir Dork vibes for sure, because Dork likes to play around with stuff like this as well. But yeah, just seeing this stormtrooper launching a blue snowmobile off of this big snow hill is just so fun to watch. And yeah, I mean, I think that Dark Side 25 did a great job capturing that in his lens.
I mean, honestly, this could very well be a shot for one of Sir Dork's competitions he does on a monthly basis, I believe is his cadence here. But yeah, no, I'm with you. This definitely has that troopers having fun angle that Jared has made iconic in the toy photography space. Dark Scythe executing it well here, getting some good air for the stormtrooper out there on his snowmobile, enjoying some downtime after the Battle of Hoth. I believe this is when this is taking place.
Probably so. They're like, we won. Everybody gets a day off.
Kicked all the rebels out, found some of their toys, and they're like, hey, let's go take these out. Get a few runs in before the big guy in the black armor comes in here and chokes one of us out. This is Dark Scythe _25 on Instagram.
Good stuff. Next up, speaking of Sir Dork, He's here, sir.dork on Instagram. Everybody knows him. Jared, our good buddy. Jared hits us with an awesome shot of Din Djarin, Brendan Wayne here, killing some people. So what we see here is Din with his spear taking out 2 stormtroopers in quick succession, so quick that they're both killed with the same spear, impaled in one stroke. And I mean, the way that Jared, one, did this, I mean, obviously it looks incredible, but 2, like the sparks coming off of the blade as it pierces it's all real
through. With his fucking crazy ass, that little
pyromania.
Give me a quarter stick of dynamite. Got it.
But I mean, the posing is incredible from both the Din side and the trooper side. The obvious bokeh in the background to enhance the shot, and then the 2 helmets of his formerly slain troopers sitting at his feet only add to the ambiance here for the shot from Sir Dork.
Yeah, so, it looks awesome. In fact, I think he tagged us in another one for his next challenge. I'll pull up right quick, give him a little exposure here. Yeah, here it is. It's Din, a Care Bear, and Grogu at an arcade. And another challenge this month, and this time the theme is pretty broad. Cute. So if you want to get involved, it's hashtag SirDorkCute, it looks like. But yeah, looks like he's got a new challenge for y'all to get down with, and I hate that term, y'all.
That's what I grew up with.
I know, so I can't fault you. I would almost, I guess me, East Coast, it's you guys.
Yeah.
If my parents had always lived in Pittsburgh, it probably would be Yins.
Yeah.
I'm mostly a you guys, or even a you all, but y'all, that one's rough for me.
I don't say it as much as I probably could.
I've always said this, like, until you tell people, you are kind of like a northern person.
Yeah, I have like a relatively flat accent. Like I don't.
Yeah, for where you grew up, especially. Yeah. I mean, we probably should need subtitles for you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Where Nick would be like, "Oh, like that. Go down that Star Wars, bow, cry head, get down like a crawl that pig." Oh, I'm like, "Oh, okay, Nick, you like that part, huh?"
It's good. It's real good.
Yeah,
yeah.
But anyways, this is our buddy Sir.Dork on Instagram, YouTube, everywhere. If you want to get into toy photography and see how it's done, especially if you use flammables and explosives, this is the account to check out.
That is
right. And according to Linda, on this shot, he lit his equipment on fire. So that's par for the course with Jared.
I gotta imagine, and I'm pretty sure that I know he does, but he keeps a fire extinguisher on him for his shoots. I've seen it, like I think I've seen some of the BTS where there's been like a little fire extinguisher or something just in case. But yeah, no, always good stuff there from Jared. Always enjoy seeing his stuff come across the feed, so make sure to give him a follow. And to close out this week's top 5, we have at Mando_mugshots, one of our loyal followers, Mando Mugshots here, hitting us with another awesome bucket head filled shot here. We have Din, Boba, and 2 Imperial Remnant troopers in this shot. And guess what? Din and Boba are taking out these 2 Imperial Remnant troopers. One of them shot right in the gut.
It's almost like he's trying to shoot his dick off.
I know, right?
It's like they're being mean to these stormtroopers. He's like, hey, see if you can shoot him in his dick. And Din's like, all right.
Just torturing them. And then Neo Boba Fett in the background, just looking on as it's almost like he's training Din to be more vicious. That's his
tummy. You want to shoot him in the nads.
Yeah.
Aim for the cod piece.
He's training Din to be more vicious, to be like, hey, you gotta shoot him in the balls first.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, no, that's all right. That gut shot, he'll die out in like 8 hours. So I mean, I guess that's a decent way to make him suffer.
But I love the color saturation in this too. Like aside from the posing and the figures, I think that like that Mando Mugshots did a great job of choosing the diorama that he used, because it gives like a good background imagery to the shot, the color saturation that he uses, and then whatever filters he used on it really does like make the shot pop off of the feed, for sure.
It's got an artistic touch there. And, at Mando Mugshots, definitely an account to follow. Just don't forget the underscore. Mando underscore Mugshots.
Well, that is it. That is the end of the top 5, and that is the end of our show for this week. So, Matt, go ahead and close us out.
That's right, buddy. Hey, when we first started, I didn't even think I'd make it past the first 30 minutes, but look at this. We did a 240. I'm a fucking jerk. So, sorry, Nick. Probably shouldn't have those 5 millis before I start because it numbed the pain. We got through. We broke down some Bad Batch. We talked about Jake Lloyd's mental health. We talked about some other stupid shit that I already forget. But that's why you need to take yourself and your friends over to StarWarsTime.net every time we get to the end of a show, just so you can loop into our socials, sub to the YouTube, join the podcast, do what must be done. You know what I'm saying? We need to keep growing the fandos. It was great to get a new person in here today. This is the way. Another shout out to you. Hopefully you'll be back. If not, keep convincing like-minded individuals that we are worth wasting their time on, because that's all that matters. Do you have enough time to waste for the SWTS? We hope you do. Come play with us weekly, Wednesdays, live on YouTube, 5 p. East, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. Podcast versions go up a day later, StarWarsTime.net. That place I'm talking about right now. And why am I talking about it? Well, there's always time for Star Wars Time. And if you listen to the Star Wars Time Show, the Force will be with you if you subscribe, like, share, and turn on notifications. Always.